Hello everybody and welcome to the NLC promotional tournament. We're into the final stage of this tournament. My name is Hitbrain and I am joined by Temporal. Temporal, how you doing? You alright?
Good afternoon. I'm alright. I'm still feeling a bit of the summer sunshine and I've put on an appropriate shirt as much, but summer's nearly over. It's nearly finished. We're at the last stop.
Yeah, this is the final moments here of the split before we kind of move on to what is next and obviously next year. I'm super excited for this one. So we got BlueWhites versus Rich Gang. I'm obviously a little bit more familiar with BlueWhites from covering Division 1. A team who had, I don't even want to say mixed success because that would be a very nice way to put it. They did tragic. They had a very rough season. Now, there are a few caveats to that. They didn't know they were playing in Div 1 till very late in the day because of certain other situations. And I was always someone who kind of had a bit of faith in this team, even though their scoreline was terrible, which is unfortunately fair. They still seem to put a fight up versus even some of the best teams in the league. So I always have this little bit of faith in this team. Now, I'm curious for your thoughts on Rich Gang, because obviously they're a new team, to me at least anyway. So you seem to be pretty much in their camp going forward. So I'm curious, what your thoughts are on this team and how you think today's going to go with them.
So we have seen this matchup before. This is a repeat of the upper bracket of this tournament, which went 3-1 to Rich Gang. More familiar with them from casting Division 2 and coaching a few of them back in the day. You may recognize some names on the roster from previous iterations of teams like Lucent Esports, featuring Mirai and Kurosh, I believe, at some stage, throughout their journeys pre and post calibration in the tournament. Rich Gang are sometimes their own worst enemy. If I am to give them some faults, they did have an emergency drop to the lower bracket during Division 2 playoffs against 42 Gaming, who we have seen eliminated from this tournament by BlueWhites in the preceding series. Sometimes they like to put a little too much flavor, shall we say, into the game. They might be a little too aggressive with their picks. They might rock a Kha'Zix where maybe they don't need that, potentially. We'll see. So yeah, sometimes their own worst enemy, but definitely fast and furious in the way that they play the game.
Yeah, so I'm kind of interested as well to kind of move on to the draft side. We're going to be rocketing through this early stage and just getting into the games as quick as possible. It's a best of 5, so I really want to get into this action. This is a bit of a weird patch, just due to the fact that there's not much professional league or competitive league happening on this patch, so I don't really know what we're expecting to see. The last time I actually cast any League of Legends was EMEA, so I'm a little bit out of the loop on some of these teams. Well, on what we expect to see. Obviously, there were a fair amount of changes onto this patch. We're on 14-17, I believe, if that's what you said. Yeah, 14-17 is what we're on. So what do you expect to see kind of go into this champ select, and what can we expect these teams to be kind of putting as like maybe top priority for this one?
So we're in a weird spot because most professional leagues are playing out their playoffs and also their Worlds qualifiers on 14, 15, or 16. Now, we're one step on. We've seen development, especially from the LCK in the last few weeks, on 16, and it translates mostly. So despite us like having an evolving setup on 17 with these teams where we are going after some huge pocket picks, Zeri will be pick ban in this series, and one of the AD carries has not played it since the early doors of summer, and it's not BlueWhites because you watched them. So Rich Gang are sort of gunning for that, despite the world being on like a triangle of Jhin. Jin's great into Ziggs. Ziggs shores up your composition when you don't want to play carries anywhere else. Ziggs sucks into Ashe, and Ashe's pick ban blue wannable most of the time into Jhin. So whether we actually see that come forwards from 16 onto this patch, because all three of those are pretty easy to play AD carries, we will be seeing them at Worlds even with the changes slated for 18. Whether that actually disrupts what has been a flexibility from BlueWhites, whether the Rich Gang pick anything that is not Zeri will be actually incredible. We have a few other pocket picks. Kurosh loves his Orianna, loves his Ahri. Against them, Pomo has played Ryze in this tournament. It has been so long since the blue man has been in the fronts of our minds in competitive League of Legends, and when he's there, he's stuck. It is some nice buffs to his Q damage, which helps you get through the wave a bit smoother, and of course, the massive Realm Warp ultimate coming crashing down, especially at rank 1 on its cooldown.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute since I've seen Rise. I'm curious to see.
I'm not sure whether I'm ready to let him back into my art. You know what I mean?
My concern about playing Rise is a bit of a scaler,
Yes.
and right now the game moves at a pretty speedy pace. Especially, I would see it in a game like this where you've got two teams, Div 2 versus bottom of Div 1. I expect the games to be relatively snowbally, win or lose. That's kind of where I'm leaning, and I feel like if you're on the winning side and you got a Rise, and you're kind of like, we need another like 10 minutes for the Rise to come online.
Yeah.
That's where the mistakes can come in, and that's the thing about this and these teams and this tournament is obviously we're playing the best of the Div 2 versus the worst of Div 1. So obviously the level is going to be somewhat down a little bit from what you're used to seeing if you watch Div 1 of NLC. So I do think, you have to be a little bit careful because mistakes will get made. And if you're playing a scaler, those mistakes get even more brutal. We're also on the patch where death timers are now longer. So
yes.
if you pick something that can pick up kills early, like a LeBlanc or something like that, LeBlanc into Rise, really good matchup for the LeBlanc. You get a couple of kills on him, and you can now punish way harder for getting those kills because they remain dead for longer. As we are into the picks and bans, we've seen the Gwen, the Lilia, the Seraphine, and the Zyra banned away here. Anything catching you off guard off this?
Viego next BlueWhites. Oh yes, that is all three of Slice's character picks from this tournament so far. Slice loves his carry. He's got to be in there with the team. BlueWhites also. I did send you some notes just before the game hit frame. We're going to talk about it a bit more. No time. But BlueWhites suffer unless they are playing Zyra in the jungle. Their Vi, which I expect them to pick in the next rotation, not necessarily on Blue 1, is very win or lose straight away. Kansuke is Mr. Engage. They're going to set that up. Misfortune, really still great on this patch. We're going to see the Bloodthirster first. Fantastic dueling AD carry matching up against a Varus who's becoming more scaling, as you've mentioned. As the game goes on, some of his early power moved into scaling later. BlueWhites now have difficult decisions. They are up against a team where they want engage, but where they have suffered on it in the tournament so far.
I mean, that MF and Rel is a really powerful pickup.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of strength in the combo that can come out from those two.
Despite Rel's damage being like completely flattened, like
yes.
you do 30 with a Q or less, she is still the best support in the game.
Yeah, because the thing about Ro was like the damage was nice, but it's not really about the damage from that champion. It's the CC. She just brings so much crowd control. Now, looking at a couple of different things they go for, they're locking the Senna. I thought Alistair was coming in. Alistair's a pretty standard old kind of counter to, the Leona, the Rel, those heavy engaged champions, because you kind of have that turn engage. This is, we want to win the 2v2 and just outrange you the entire time. I am interested to see how he gets is going to pilot this one, unless this ends up being the Varus top lane. There was that old Locket Varus top lane, which does still show up occasionally. So there is an angle where that could get locked in. You talked about this. They go for the Kha'Zix for Slice.
The day Slice plays Maokai, we all know that he's been replaced by a robot, and that something has gone wrong. Senna, very interestingly, the Ornn Banner, I'm not sure about here, Rich Gang. Senna has been changed. She is an Enchanter-style champion now. She is not necessarily sort of the duelist second AD carry setup and lethality scaler that she used to be. She's now about the healing. Orianna coming through, attacking Kurosh's pool here in the 2v2. I expect to see Ari, the final ban from BlueWhites. But what Rich Gang can do here, I'm not sure. They seem a bit thrown by the Senna. That is not what I would have expected out from Egets here.
Yeah, I think that did catch him off a little bit. I'm glad to see the Orianna ban as well, because we talked about how it's good for Kurosh, but it's also just like the wombo combo with the MF, the Rel. There's a lot of burst that could come out from that, and that's where Slice then would be able to shine. Pretty comfortable blind ban here coming in on the Aatrox. Pretty solid into a lot of the more tanky matchups in the meta right now, and BlueWhites looking to kind of round this out.
A fantastic performance. I think he approached a 20 KDA against 42 Gaming on that pick. BlueWhites' best wins, as they are going to further hit Kurosh away in the mid lane, have been through stabilizing and then just going late and relying on their teammates and their coordination over other tangible efforts in game. It looks like they just snooze their opponents to death, but in reality, they're relying on each other. Typical big team fight player, not feeling the K'Sante rather. In the blind here, the Gnar will be the choice. K'Sante can't really be picked into this. BlueWhites now have to think, what can we take that's stable? I think they're going to lean towards the Kennen. Let's see, though. It has been something they've relied on in the past.
Looking like it's just going to be a Corki and angle here for Pomo. Then E gets looking to now pick up the last champion, probably a top laner, unless this does end out actually being that Varus in the top lane.
I'm feeling the cannon. I'm thinking it's going to be
they're
that
lacking
way.
AP. They're really lacking AP. So like Rumble or Kennen. I know Rumble's nerfed right now, but Rumble or Kennen are probably
still fantastically strong. You don't have that lane setup. Yeah, okay. Malphite, still the team fight influence. I think Typical's going to have a lot of fun pushing Veluxua, but we're about the patience on BlueWhites going to take it slow. The R5 for mid here. I wouldn't mind Silas. Corki, 1 and 11.
There's some impactful ults.
Yeah, 1 and 11. And you can't really steal the rockets too well. So I'm not sure about the Silas. Would prefer to see the Tristan. Okay, Nico the choice.
Interesting. I actually don't mind the Silas angle. You got the Malphite, you got the Maokai, you got the Varus. There's actually some really solid ults for team fighting. Yeah, in lane you don't get as impactful of an ultimate. The Nico's an interesting one here for Kurosh, and kind of showing us that they lean more towards these mage mid laners and away from that kind of AD mid, which has been meta for quite a while now, unfortunately, as much as I have grown to completely despise the Tristana, the Corkis, the Lucians mid. They were lacking AP damage, so I do like this pickup for the side of Rich Gang. On the other side, BlueWhites, they still are lacking AP damage, and I know that the Maokai will probably get Leandres, but
maybe not.
I feel like, you know, you've got one tank in Kansky here, and you know, they're a support, so it's not like a true tank, but their ability to be able to tank will be heavily increased by the fact that they're not going to have to worry really about getting too much magic resist in this game, just off the fact that, you know, everyone's going to be doing, you know, AD damage.
There is the threat of Varus still with the percentage magic, and weaving spells through Blight, doubly important after the changes. I do like the Nico, further setup for Fortune, so we're tripling, quadrupling down on this Miss Fortune setup. Pretty Rich Gang flavored. Will also help the Kha'Zix, but I am struggling to see the way Kha'Zix like plays through a fight unless they try and take advantage of BlueWhite sending the Malphite forwards into Miss Fortune and then counterpunch. There's a lot of conditions on the Kha'Zix that are going to make it like hard to execute convincingly. So for Rich Gang, I like the big piece, but the little piece, I don't know. I do
feel it was a bit of an ego pick from Slice, if I'm going to be honest with you. Like that. There was better junglers. You could have taken like a Sejuani or something like that, like an engaged jungler. There's quite a few
AP
angles.
Is up. Most of the engages are still around. You couldn't have had the Maokai yourself. Vi suffers a little into it. Viego banned away, so the big three were. I think the Gwen would have really, like, you could tell this was a quick substitute and carry on, because I think the Gwen in this composition absolutely slaps. So we'll have to see whether he can demand all 3 bans in the second game off of this.
I mean, the power of this Kha'Zix is, you know, if it does snowball, life is going to be very hard for the Varus. He'll be able to get good flanks, and it's really going to be about making sure that you can kind of get a good start to this game so you can open the map up, because once you open the map up, Assassins, that's when they feel most comfortable. When there's not the tier 1 towers, there's outer towers making the map a little bit smaller. Once you're able to kind of more comfortably move into the jungle, that's where you're going to have that impact. As well, onto the Rift for our first game of the day. And don't expect to see anything really explosive early. My interest really kind of aligns on what Yones and Slice are going to be doing, and looks like they're going to be clearing both down towards bot side, so nothing really surprising off that.
Yeah, I think both top laners pretty resilient to a gank. You know, hurting the Malphite invests a lot of time and doesn't have like a real output. Interesting to see 2 wind speakers on both junglers, so they'll be moving through the bushes quicker. I know it's still pretty popular and competitive, but we've seen a big move away from that Rich Gang. Gonna move forwards. Yon should be fine here. It'll just take the tip of his health bar, which isn't going to make a big difference through his jungle.
No, it'll be fine. He's a Maokai. Got plenty of sustain. I don't know about the clear speeds of a Maokai versus a Kha'Zix, if I'm going to be completely honest with you.
That's all right. It's a little faster for Kha'Zix. Not as much as you think, though, as Maokai Q. Even at level 1, eerily fast. Just how much bonus damage it gets on ability. Oh, we missed something.
Well, we missed MKL losing a lot of HP. Luckily for him, he has a Senna, so that sustain will be there for him.
Oh, ouch. Takes the double up as well. Rich Gang going to be absolutely fine. early few seconds. We're going to see the annoyance start here. This is the Blue-White's game plan. Konske taking a auto attack there, and the middle bush is warded. So Blue-White's going to try hold this in the middle and try not to delay their own level 2 too much.
Yeah, looks like they should be getting it. There we go. Nice and easy. It's Blue-White's definitely pushed back pretty heavily here, though. She's pretty rough start to the lane already. I mean, there's a massive wave crashing, so they're not going to be like down massively in farm immediately, but it's still going to suck for a bit for them as a mid lane. Again, a weird matchup. Like, I haven't seen Nico in quite a while, so I'm not entirely sure how the Nico matchup actually fares into the Corki. I don't think I've seen this matchup since Corki got reworked.
Typical. Gonna get some damage off here. Not too much though. Should just put Veluxua back under the tower. It's this matchup was played slightly at the very start of summer, but it was already starting to fade away back then. And since then, Nico has not been touched, and Corki has been tamped down once or twice. So I expect slightly better things than I remember. But Kurosh pushing the angle here is revealed.
He's used the W, so he has to flash away, but Jones comes in with a twisted advance, and that is going to be one dead lizard. First blood to Jones.
Fantastic commit with the Maokai, just flashing straight in. It's always worth it to put away one of the laners. Konske was on the way up, but no further play to be made. And despite seeing Jones at level 1 and knowing the direction that this Maokai was taking, Kurosh just surprised a little by him coming up, not finishing off his red buff, and committing to mid lane instead. That's a great setup. Kurosh now won't have flash for a level 6 play on mid.
That was a real mistake from Kurosh as well, because he was angling for a trade on Pomo and just did not respect the fact that a gank was coming in. Slice is going to double crab for this, so
there's something.
He gets something back. It should equalize out at least the jungle kind of gold income at the moment, but...
So the kill actually went over to Jones, so he's still going to be behind, but also Pomo not massively accelerated, also committing the teleport. Coming back in will take a little while before a difference opens up in mid lane either way.
Alrighty, well, I don't really think Veluxia is gankable for Slice, but Jones is coming in. Veluxia only level 4, so we'll be able to chase them off. It does look like a little bit of wasted time there from Slice. So Typical's coming over. I think they're just going to start up the Gromp. Slice going to be able to take that ward out. They're going to know. Blue-Whites are going to know that Typical's roamed over to help him steal this camp away. The problem right now, though, for Jones is there is no camp on the other side, so the counter jungle isn't really going to be doable. Although the Raptors actually just respawned, and so did the Krugs. So actually, Jones will get an answer back off this. It's not the end of the world.
It's excellent timing, because I think I would have preferred recall into Dragon setup where the bot lane are, being able to push back out and potentially get a lane gank off by abusing the alcove as well. Konske has been either out of the lane, which is great against double range for the rel, because you will get picked on, or has been running up through the bushes. Jones, they knew this was going on. Pomo should be able to escort away.
Yeah, the last thing I want to see now is Slice go topside and take those Krugs. I think he needs to get onto his wolves and start working towards that dragon like you were saying. Now, in the bot lane, there's a bit of action. Mirai's out of mana, though, so does just look like Blue-White's going to happily take this victory and just trade them off. This does now kind of change the tempo and the ability to do that dragon with the fact that they've given up a lot of pressure here on the bot side of the map.
I think we still need the recall through as well. Jones is sitting on that kill goal. We'll be able to go back and spend it now. And it is the Faded Ashes? I've forgotten the name of the item all of a sudden. I do build it every day, I promise. So it will be likely that Leandries you mentioned coming through. So will be the little bit of magic damage just to try and make the most of poor magic damage output for Blue-Whites. And what I want to look at here is everyone coming up. How are we going to translate into the grubs? Grabbing priority somewhere first would be fine. Slice just going to full show that hand and walk over. Maokai has a significantly better time here, but he is clearing up from the bottom side. Went to his camp first.
I actually think Blue-Whites are just giving this. I think they know that this is going to happen, and they're not going to go for it. I think the problem is top and mid don't have the pressure to really contest this without it being very rough for them. They know that they got the pressure bot lane, so they're just going to translate this into a dragon. That mountain,
they're going to drop
even though it's not soul, I think the mountain's pretty decent. You know, kind of gives a bit of resistances to kind of shut down the Kha'Zix burst as well. Not the end of the world. I think this is an all right trade here for Blue-Whites. They don't want to coin flip the game at 7
Not too fast, no. And I think when you do have this composition, they do want to give Kurash less chances to find a big pick later on. They want Mirai to have less ultimates, less team fights overall. The Malphite Maokai is going to be very straightforward. So starting the clock on the dragon is favorable for them. That said,
Slice.
going to find Slice.
I think he might be dead here. Veluxia actually does a lot of damage to him. Slice goes for the ult. Veluxia ults out. Slice is going to continue to steal this Gromp away. As he actually has to jump over because Pomo rotating in and forces him out. And now the red side is fully up for Slice. So he's not going to lose any camps off it. But that was a pretty unsuccessful invade, unfortunately. Apart from forcing Veluxia's ultimate, I guess.
Yeah, it's further extension on from the groups. And I'm in two minds right now. We're going to hit you with some stats, audience. These were collected just before we went live. So their reliability is a trust me bro guarantee and not a cent more. In games where BlueWhites do not have 5 crabs, they have lost every single game. They have not found a way forwards unless they were there at the first spawn on tempo, rolling through the objectives every single time. That said, I am pretty proud of them getting that dragon started. I think the clock will help them here, and they have chosen to display a different game. We do have the classic Varus, but the Sen is new, and they are sort of facing up against different opponents than that first series at least. So we'll see what BlueWhites are going to do, whether they can change that stat line.
They are really struggling in the bot lane though. Slice probably needs to make some level of an appearance down there, but I guess the real problem is he himself could just get one shot.
Yep.
Looks like we might see some action in the mid. Kansky, I don't know if an angle's really going to be there versus a Corki.
Yeah, is marking right now. They don't know where Jones is. He took a bit of an odd base because both junglers sort of did their objective, did an extra thing, hung around a moment. You know, Slice still clearing down. So I think they've lost him right now. They said that ward on top of the chickens. He's been caught at the restaurant. He's picked up his chicken.
Yeah, they know exactly where he is. Slice out-tempoing pretty heavily Jones in the jungle on this Kha'Zix, but the difference is Jones did get a successful gank off. The only kill of the game so far. Kurash has recovered from that one. There's not really been any plates or massive CS leads built up in mid off the back of it, and now with the Hextech Alternator finished up in his pocket, we'll have a little bit more trading power. Now, does look like we're going to see something go down here in the bot side as Slice and Jones are threatening it. They do have the ultimate available on Jones, but I think Rich Gang then smelt that something was up and they're going to leave. Slice also gets recalled out as well, so a very, very chill start to this game.
It is. I think it sort of favors both teams in different ways. Rich Gang, happy to go later. Their composition gets better the later the game goes. They need one good team fight, and it's going to be the T1 special at the end of this. They just need one. They'll plow through towers like nothing else. But BlueWhites stylistically want to go late. They want to trust each other. They want to be able to have all 5 players in a position to do something. And where games have snowballed out of their favor before that, once again, that's the big way they've fallen down. I think Jones with an item as well. I would have liked to see them go forwards there, but both teams taking it easy, not in a rushing game 1.
Yeah, I think it's still that kind of like getting a feel for the series. Yeah. Especially for Rich Gang, who, you know, they won the upper bracket, so they are going to be a little bit more rusty compared to Rich Gang, who obviously... to BlueWhites, who played all the way through. As Slice has to jump out as he gets caught for the brief second there. Not going to follow up onto anything. There's the full engage onto Slice. They come in with the Pop Blossom onto 4, but there is no follow-up damage. Kurash is locked in place. He has that flash. He's going to try and clear the wall. Pomo secures the double for BlueWhites.
Big team fight ultimate there from Kurash, but too little, too late, and just as we weren't sure whether they were going in or not here, praying, BlueWhites pull the trigger, big appearance, and they're going to be there on time for the second grubs. Huge team fight and capitalization. Once again, sliced through his hand onto mid. He didn't even show it. He just put his cards on the table. And this time, BlueWhites were more than happy to collect.
This is the problem with the Kha'Zix. If you're organized, you can easily catch it out. Veluxia roaming down.
Telegraphed.
I mean, Veluxia gave up some of the pressure in lane, did move over, but the ultimate success was there for them. So
Yeah.
it's not really the end of the world.
Big Rock Man will do the same thing at 70 CS and 200. Slice.
Oh, my word.
Dear.
Slice, that is very greedy. Has to pop the ultimate just to break away. Man, he's now chunked before the dragon, so this can be dragon number 2 and the grubs over to BlueWhites. Rich Gang kind of fumbling a little bit off that.
Yeah, it was a desperation move for sure. Won't get a huge heal here. Remember, jungle camp start this season were moved to percentage at max health, not percentage missing. So he's not going to come up above half off the back of this Gromp, despite. I think they just have to let it go. There was an option there if Rich Gang were particularly feeling it, and they do have the bullet time up. They could have based him, pushed mid, and tried to align Kurosh and Mirai to a contest, but it's not going to come. Kansuke just waiting for this to come down, looking for an exit kill, maybe.
I think BlueWhites just going to get this one for free. There it is, dragon secured.
Oh, that's a rough time to recall your support. Okay, Slice spotted out on the other side once again. Cross map onto the Grom, but
Pomo's massive.
He's sitting on his flash. I think it'd be flat.
There's a minion coming in. There it is. Pop Blossom lands. They look for the burst onto Pomo. They don't quite get it. Kurosh is almost going to finish him up. Typical. Able to slide in and secure himself the shutdown. There's Veluxia's ultimate. 2-man wallbang from the side of Typical, but I don't really think he's got any more fuel in the tank. He's just going to have to leave. Rich Gang kind of just threading together the best of a bad situation there.
Yeah, they're forcing the issue too much. It is a weakness of this Kha'Zix. I think the reason why... Oh, Hex Flash in.
Magnet Storm available. They're going to get it onto MKR, but he just flashes away to safety. Ultimately, actually a good trade there for Rich Gang, getting the flash from MKR, but I'm not going to get anything else, unfortunately.
In trade for unlocking Hex Flash, so Kansuke can try and pull that one off again. It's a little favor down there, but huge loss in the top side. Slice goes down. He is still holding Flash. There is more pickup, but they tried to force the issue. They saw the dragon went down. It's like, oh, we got a cross map. It had been so long since the dragon. I think Pomo and Jones were having a laugh as they wandered up. Big team fight buttons for BlueWhites once again. Extend their lead. Jones is going to look so strong as soon as he gets his next item through on this Maokai. He's going to be having a great time.
Yeah, I worry about the Nico. I worry about the Kha'Zix. You know, both not particularly in the strongest of positions at this point. 0-3 to Kurosh, Slice 0-2. He's honestly, Kurosh has had good ults, but he's just very weak at the moment. And Slice has just had no impact this game. I mean, the Kha'Zix
he's shown up and interacted slightly.
I mean, he's been involved in the fights, but he's had no impact for his team.
He's had the issue, and we did highlight it in draft, that even though, you know, you go slightly faster through the jungle and he does technically have that CS lead, which has brought them to even gold, the idea that he's anywhere near as strong as this Maokai is crazy. His ult cannot just be thrown. He cannot show up. He cannot flash on someone and secure their death. Kurosh just going to blow the ult in mid, just trying to push his luck. There is a bit of a lull state, so won't really be punished on the chains.
He's got flash. He's going to have to use it, but I don't think it's going to come down in time. That's going to be a trade out, though. Slice able to secure himself the kill. They're putting the lockdown onto Jones. The Q comes forward. The flash goes out. Typical. Not quite got enough damage. Aegis gets the roots down onto Slice as well. Rich Gang in danger because in comes Veluxia. He's got the ultimate. He's going to go for it. Slice taken out. Veluxia on a killing spree. They get the slam with the Gnar back onto the wall. He's taking tower shot after tower shot. Typical answering back. He might just be that shimmering light at the end of the tunnel for the side of Rich Gang. Typical. The Gnar starting to come online.
Just about got his Triforce through, 3 for 2 in favor of BlueWhites, so still pushing the advantage, pulling out major cooldowns, and of course with a Herald to capitalize, that's the the red mid tower, tier 1 gone. Should be able to see that vision line that we can see from them around the upper side of mid. Those two controllers be pushed forwards. Should be able to have vision on chickens and potentially red buff from here, which makes the position around this top T2 very dangerous. They only really have the Corki who can push it right now, but that's a huge bounty if someone does manage to stabilize that split push.
Well, we'll just take a quick look at where we're at in the game. Bloodthirst now finished onto Mirai, got a BF sword as well in the inventory. But Pomo got himself the Manamune, or the Muramana. Needs to get up to Manamune. I can't remember which way around it is. No, Muramana's upgraded. Muramana's the upgraded one. Now Mirai just loses all of their HP. Jones is trying to chase forwards. Mirai just healing up with that Bloodthirster, but Kanski goes down. BlueWhites secure another kill, and if you look at the timers, that is perfect timing here for BlueWhites. They've got 40 seconds until Dragon. They can set up the vision. They can get in control. And they might even be able to get themselves a kill onto Typical as the ultimate's coming in, chasing him down. He does have the jump to get over the wall, but he is flanked on multiple angles. And that Gnar is very exposed. 4 people collapsing in, and down he goes.
It is the duality of Gnar. You got a huge teamfight ultimate presence, and you got a cute little guy. Please don't bully him in the side lane. He likes to attack fast. That's all he's got, though. And once again, Mirai and Konsuke being picked on in mid. They
Wait, this is a
will
Malphite
come back around. Oh, gosh.
Boom! The 2-man comes in. The damage is there. Slice, low HP. Mirai also low HP. He's trying to make a break for it. Has got that Misfortune speed, but that's just stolen by Veluxia. And MKR secures the kill. Game 1 is looking like a little bit of a stomp.
Yeah, not the way I'd have expected either. It looks like by pushing Slice all the way back to Kha'Zix, BlueWhites have secured their biggest win condition in the tournament, which is just get it stable, get it together, get all the pieces moving, trust each other. And with it, they're able to consecutively chain these team fights together. Rich Gang, I don't know what happened in mid lane. To start off that entire sequence, just ate a chain of corruption. They really have to respect that MKR just can start that fight when they overextend.
I think Rich Gang a bit panicked right now, making a lot of mistakes. They just overextended for a tower, which they had no business contesting. Typical is looking for MKR here. MKR has to hit him with the ultimate. Doesn't even take the follow-up arrow, so that is a lovely little trade there for Typical. Didn't have to use anything. Slice, I mean, the only thing he's really offering this game is a lot of counter jungling, but it's not actually resulted in anything. In fact, he's 100 gold down to Jones, who is just having infinitely more impact for his team. Has Slice upgraded W? Is that why I saw him upgrade?
I saw the 3 prongs, which is upgraded W.
Yeah.
Has gone dark as well, which I believe on that skin means it upgraded R. So R and W, which is maybe not what I'd have chosen. I think E.
No, that's weird.
Like R is good in the, it gives you the evasion, gives you the ability to play through the fight. And if we want Slice to be the body that makes people panic in the backline, sure, R has to be the way to go. You don't necessarily need Q because you're not going to finish people off on your own. I think even with it, you're not going to find people away from the center. But I wouldn't mind the E. I wouldn't mind the ability to be in and out. That said,
it's weird.
Not evolving QR leaves you pretty slow. A lot of Q or W leaves you pretty slow. So it's a hard one. It's a hard one.
I've seen a lot of people talking about just leaving the E on Kha'Zix. I know that the Q and R interact really nicely with each other as well. So if you evolve R, I assume claws are going to be the last evolution. W is...
I think so.
It has to be, right? Because it's so powerful with him.
With so many hard teamfight pieces and the Valkyrian as well, I really wouldn't mind ER, but it does leave you slow in a game where you are already not keeping up with your counterpart in this Maokai, which just sent its partner across the map.
He just can't do anything.
Yeah.
He jumps in and gets CC'd immediately. I mean, this is...
all 5 members can do it as well. Chains of Corruption will go wide. Konsuke gets away with this one. Can Rich Gang capitalize?
They're jumping in, seeing if they can find the opportunity. The bullet time's onto Yon. Slice has been locked down. Teleport, Typical's joined in. The Pop Blossom doesn't hit anybody. Slice jumping forwards into E, gets his pocket. Immediately CC'd, but Karash able to secure the kill. Typical, low HP. Gnar's out in the nick of time, but he still goes down. Pomo able to secure the kill. Veluxia is here, slowed down, but ultimate available to him. Rich Gang, this could get very dicey for them. I think they're just going to back off. Pomo knows that isn't the real deal.
Just a small trade over. Typical free gets. Both lose all summoners and flash in the exchange. Now, whether Typical's missing teleport will allow BlueWhites to just go even more comfortably into the next 5 minutes or look to play onto this Baron will be the question.
Oh, Veluxia.
He's in deep.
He's in very deep. He does have Pomo in his pocket. He does have ultimate. MKR is here. They're grouped up and they are just CC'd down. MKR secures the kill. The Magnet Storm is going to do nothing As another kill goes over, that's Baron for BlueWhites, and that might just be that final nail in the coffin, to be honest.
Without that teleport, I think the overextension, all 3 remaining members who weren't farming, Mirai just ran it down straight into mid. It actually goes down. No, Kurosh. It was Kurosh with the... Everyone gets done by Nico. Once per game. That's my one. That's my one. Was farming as Misfortune in mid. Baron easily secured. No contest. Looking at the rest of the map. 3 waves in now before this dragon, and it is soul point as well, so BlueWhites have an excellent setup. They're going to start with a big power play, especially if we include those takedowns from just before Baron was felled, and they're going to move through this dragon. Absolute dream late game situation.
Yeah, it really is. Set up heavily at this point. Pomo, 3 items in, 2.5 onto MKR. The 1.5 on Mirai, the 1.5 on Kurosh. Like, there are significant leads, and I don't want to continue to kind of take a dump on the Kha'Zix, but like for real, this Kha'Zix is the reason.
I dumped on Jones in draft. I was like, if this guy picks 5, 50-50, 0-6, get your popcorn here. And instead, fantastic Maokai performance has been measured, has been what his team needs. This Baron coming forwards now, complete control of the Dragon Pit. Just a few pings down from where Rich Gang suspect they could be hiding because they have no idea.
Alrighty, well, looks like the siege is on with Baron on the bot side of the map from the side of BlueWhites. Rich Gang not really going to be able to do much about that one. 21 seconds until the Cloud Soul spawns up, and if Slice was struggling to catch people before, it's about to get infinitely worse when everyone gets all that extra move speed. And they're chasing in.
Here we go.
Jones has thrown the ultimate down. That was the clone that got hit by Veluxia. Slice able to just about avoid getting caught. But it's a pretty non-committal ultimate there from Jones. They didn't lose much other than just the cooldown on that.
Rich Gang had the opportunity to do something really funny here, but I think they've pulled everyone away. They do have a ward over the back and Kurosh having flash. If they had sort of premeditated to keep 4 people around mid, push the mid wave out, which is currently under BlueWhites' possession, they could have teleported Kurosh in behind Flash the Pit, and that was an option of the way out, because we're in this sort of late game thing where, like, it's fair to scoff at what I just said. That is an extreme situation, but unless you are getting this full bullet time through now, unless you're going crazy for these fights, you need to catch multiple members of BlueWhites with big ultimates. There is no, like, oh, we can randomly pick the Maokai, and then you just go like, oh, okay, can you fight into Malphite now? And the answer is no. He's got a 9 KDA, he's massive, he's given over no gold in his, like, losing lane matchup, in his weak side, and he's still this huge team fight ultimate. Rich Gang have to find a dream and a hope to even win the next fight.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tall ask for them. Only 4 kills to 15. Gold lead, absolutely gigantic gap here. And that's about to get bigger because this tier 2 on the top side will be going down. It's worth a lot of money.
Yeah, more if you get it on your own. If you can shove that bounty onto one particular carry. A little bit more efficient, but I don't think 42, BlueWhites rather, are even going to wait.
No, they're coming in for the Pop Blossom. Do get onto Egitz. Egitz finds himself chunked out. Ultimate a little bit too slow. Now Typical finds himself in the middle of everything, but Pomo wasn't even here. MKR secures the kill. The ult connects onto one. There's the Valkyrie forwards. As Kansky goes down, they just continue to chase. Mirai's ultimate just tickles Veluxia. The 2 tanks underneath the tower. In comes Pomo. Kurosh, Zonya's, and he will be dead next. BlueWhites able to secure the last tower off the back of that one. Slice had to escape. And we'll pressure the mid tower, but I mean, this is not worth it for them.
Frayed nerves from Rich Gang. They saw that teleport. Pomo was on the wave while he was casting it, so they must have just assumed like, oh hey, we've got this little bit of our jungle, we've got this, we can hold this, and then the Malphite ult just comes over the top. Absolute decimation. BlueWhites, they're going to go back to base here. I think we do 1 or 2 more fights hit frame, and for Rich Gang it's probably a let's look at what we can do in game 2. We need to escape this draft trap. 3 junglers in the first phase was enough to put Slice on the back foot, a big part of Rich Gang's initial victory in the upper bracket in round 1 of this tournament.
I think the best way to sum up this game is Slice finds himself getting chased down by Veluxia. W slows connecting across the board. They are looking for Egitz as an assassination, but he's able to dodge it. The lockdown is here. He gets slowed, but Slice cannot chase any further.
No,
and yeah, quickly just going back to it.
Struggling to get through a Senna with a Black Cleaver and a Kindle Gem. I know Moonstone
because
has a bit of health on it as well,
He's
but
just giga weak. That's why.
yeah, it's real rough.
Here's the big problem with the draft. Like, how do you actually execute Rich Gang's draft? Like, you have CC, like a wombo combo in the Nico and your bot side, but then, like, Gnar, very situational. Slice just has to play these fights very, very efficiently. But there's so many answers on the side of BlueWhites. As you see, they jump forwards on Slice and they immediately eat the center snare. You've got so much ease of execution and the ability to snap engage, but not also snap engage, kind of return engage. Like, you have that turn capability on your team, and that's what's just making this game so hard for Rich Gang. It really just boils down to ease of execution. This is a very simplistic team to play.
Would have been to align Mirai and Kurosh in a lane, and that means your two carries are only farming one lane, sure. And then with Slice pushing forwards into the jungle, as he did multiple times, but without that backup, you have to set up for a huge bullet time. It has to be like set up with a Magnet Storm, it has to be Pop Blossom on top. It's a lot of pieces, but you have to make those align, and without those winning lanes, they haven't been able to move the bot lane around as they would have liked.
Yeah, I don't think with these two, the Maokai and the Malphite, it's possible to play Mirai and stand still with the bullet time. Exactly why you immediately get ulted by Veluxia, cancels it. The Pop Blossom doesn't even tickle them at this point. MKR unstoppable, looking for Slice. Karosh being chased down. There's the double for MKR. He's just going to go for the triple at this point. This is a double onto the Corki. There's the triple for MKR. That ease of execution, that snap engage there. Just beautiful from BlueWhites.
Absolutely fantastic. A comfortable game one victory here. The Nexus will not stand against the BlueWhites. I think the Finns should be very proud from a rough series against Rich Gang in the upper bracket to a reversal here. They win game one and they set their stamp on the series.
Yeah, very convincing game one for them. 28 minutes on the clock, 24 kills in their pocket. Soul, a Baron. Just an absolutely amazing game. You saw the damage. The damage was huge. I think if Rich Gang want this to be more than a 3-game series, they need to look at their drafting, and Slice might need to drop the ego a little bit and play more for the team and not a Kha'Zix, because Kha'Zix was not it, man. That Kha'Zix
I don't know what the fourth
tragic.
jungler is, you know? The Viego last ban, I was like, they'll probably give him Viego. They'll be all right. They'll play it out.
If he can't play any of the AP junglers, I'm seriously concerned about Slice right now, because...
So Lilia was on there. Lilia's been his choice.
True,
we love
Lilia was there.
Q forwards.
Zyra was banned as well, and I know Brand is nerfed, so I actually don't know how playable Brand is right now, to be fair. But
my favorite champion in the jungle is Morgana, and you can do it, but that's
so good.
That's some prequel. That's some prequel. Elise not playable. I want to see a Sejuani. I want to see complete violence back. That's the revenge I want to see.
I think if like the actually good carry junglers like the Lilia and the Viego and stuff are banned away, I think you just have to fall back and be I'm playing tank duty this game. You know, whether that be a Vi who's a bit more bruisery or the Sejuani who's your true tank. You know, what we saw there from Jones was very comfortable in locking the Maokai for himself.
It was well paced. It was really well paced.
It was a perfect pick for that comp. It shut down everything that Rich Gang wanted to do and just made that game very, very hard for them. Now, that was game one. We still have another 5 games to go, but for now, we're going to throw ourselves we got 5-game series, so potentially at least another 2 games to go. We're going to throw ourselves to a quick break, and then we're back with game number 2, so we'll see you in a moment. Hello everybody and welcome back to the NLC promotion. We're into our finals game, and game number 1 started with a BlueWhites victory pretty confidently, to be honest. I think Slice kind of ego picked the Kha'Zix and was humbled pretty quickly. So, Temporal, I want to know what you want to be seeing changed in this game. Rich Gang will be playing that red side once again. So what do they need to do to get victory going into this next game?
We saw they got to emulate the bit of BlueWhites. I think BlueWhites did very well today, which is, be a cohesive unit. The Kha'Zix sort of had to play sort of on its own and sort of out in front of everyone else for that last comp to succeed. And it was high stakes at the best of times and then immediately on the floor as soon as it didn't work. I want to see a return to Sejuani. I want to see a return to Jarvan. We know that on this back foot, Rich Gang can reach into their pockets because it was the same in Division 2 finals up against 42. They were invited almost to, there were no jungle bans. In some games, they were just like, you know what, do it. Pick your Kha'Zix. Come at me with your Viego. Didn't always work out, mind, but it was a valid way to attack the cohesiveness of Rich Gang. If you want to see them play out a fight, out a winning lane, we do have to see them actually get something top to bottom on paper that works. Wouldn't mind them also going back to the Zeri. We saw the BlueWhites had like a big team fight engaged there, and the Zeri kites that out a lot better. It survives a lot better.
I think the big thing for me is looking at what Rich Gang need to really change. It's just ease of execution. They kind of went for wombo combo instead of ease of execution. I think the ease of execution is going to be what guarantees you the win here. BlueWhites team, genuinely very easy to kind of engage, to play off. You had solid, reliable engage. You had a lot of long-range poke as well in the Corki and the Varus.
The chains of corruptions, it was like 3 in a minute. I was just like, how did they keep falling for this?
You have like 2 non-committal engage tools, which is one of my favorite kind of terms in the game. Is like, you think about like,
hands off, you come to me. Very, very nice.
Well, it's not even that. What non-committal engages to me is things like Varus are, things like Maokai are. You throw them down, and like you're not putting your body on the line until you know it lands. Like something like an Ashar non-committal. Like if it hits, everyone follows up. If it misses, you just wait for the cooldown. Like Malphite ultimate is like full send it, right? Like you're just throwing yourself into the middle of the enemy team. And
he's as tanky as last game. Maybe that's non-committal as well.
I mean, that was unkillable. But again, like they had their only AP threat. Well, I mean, actually, it was BlueWhites who were lacking AP, but that didn't actually matter because Korosh, as much as I think we took a bit of aim at Slice, I mean, I took quite a lot of aim at Slice for that pick. Korosh on the Nico really struggled in this game. Did not have a particularly impactful mid lane. In fact, got solo killed or gank killed 4 times total.
For all of our praise for Malphite ult and the Varus ult as well, nearly always found their targets. And if not, lol state, oh no, we'll do it again. The first 2 Nico ults were under duress. They were under pressure. They may land on targets, but they did not achieve their goals. And I think if you are going to play the Nico, that has to change. Yeah,
I just, the problem is these kind of AP mids, like the mages, they kind of struggle right now. The AD mids have just got way too much pressure on them. The Corki, I mean, there's a reason that Corki was so heavily prioritized for the last end of the summer seasons across the world. Champ was absolutely crazy. Tristan and the Lucian, there's so many answers, and AD mids who are also very oppressive in the mid lane. And I feel like the Nico versus the Lucian or the Trist would have had just as hard of a time. So I need to see Korosh maybe move away from this Orianna, this Nico, this kind of like mage style mid laners, and try and lean more into what Pomo is going to be playing, which I expect to be more of these AD mids. Now, into the picks and bans, so far, Slice is having his Gwen banned away. Pretty standard stuff coming off there. Seraphine as well. And yeah, I think it's just going to be target Slice. I think they recognize Slice's champ pool is way too small, and that is very punishable.
We'll see. So complete run back on the first 5. Do we see a twist at the end, or will Rich Gang once again? You're just taking away. Yep. Oh, okay. The Senna. So I'm missing what that was last game in my brain. They could take the Rel to start.
I think this is Rel. Varus is...
the Varus or Ashe there, both completely fine. You are challenging Rich Gang's bot lane. The Zeri doesn't have the nicest lineup against the Varus, so they're almost like looking at their pick and just being like, come on then, like do it again. Like you chose your nice laners last time, and sure, it's a good setup so far, But are you going to spoil it again? Like, BlueWhites get to just, like, peer into Rich Gang's soul.
So, as we look at the champ select, same things so far, but with the center band, I actually think Alistair is a good ankle here. I like Jones on the Maokai. I think that's perfectly fine. But I do think this could probably just be a
I
Alistair.
also wouldn't mind a Lulu. I think you can go to range now. We're going to see this twist bigger at Worlds, by the way. This is your little preview. But melee supports aren't the only way from this patch forwards. Not
Do you like
because of
Lulu, though, with
Rich
a poke ADC and not
with,
like a kind of like hyper
Maokai in the
carry?
front line, you can get away with whatever you want. You're likely going to be wild growthing either in response to someone reaching misfortune or a big ultimate on top there. It's going to be the blind mid instead. I want Kurosh to reach into his back pocket here. He does have some depth there. We could see a Zed in mid, maybe not total choice, but if you take 5 bans
just play
and with a
Lucian,
2v2 around Zed,
Just play Lucian.
I'm not 100% on Kurosh Lucian, so we'll hold it.
Yeah,
But
that's the problem, but that's
this
what he
has got
needs
to
to
be
be playing.
mid. I want to see mid.
Lucian or Trist is okay.
Orianna. Okay, so we're dodging the last 2 bans. They were Orianna, Ari, Kurosh's biggest 2. I think Orianna into Corki's fine. I like that matchup, but I am a lot better at Orianna than I am at Corki, so maybe not the best option to ask there.
Years gone by, this was an okay matchup because Corki was more scaling heavy, but now that he's a lot more strong early, I mean, he still scales like mad. It's actually bonkers what they did that champ. But regardless, I think because of the way that he's now a lot stronger early, I think that really affects the power in this lane.
Bans? Xin Zhao into J4 in the last section?
They want Slice on Kha'Zix more than Slice wants Slice on Kha'Zix. That's what this is. They just want to ban...
A Mumu is in the game. You can pick a Mumu. I promise. They'll never ban a Mumu.
I mean, I'm going to be real. Amumu's actually really solid, especially with this comp. That's that wombo combo. Again, maybe not quite ease of execution because you kind of have to let everything line up perfectly. But, I mean, Amumu is actually an alright call.
He's looking good right now.
He's not going to play
He's looking alright. He's looking okay. BlueWhites in the last half, they have hit the Jarvan as well. They've literally gone down Slice's match history. This is pretty much the whole thing. There are very few champions outside of this. I would like RG to save their top for R5. They've banned away the Ornn once again. This is probably going to be something a little special. Hovers onto various
Shyvana's good. I actually messed with the Shyvana.
Shy's alright. I'm not sure.
We were seeing her EMEA. The Spirit Surge in Leandri's build is absolutely silly.
I'm going to trust teams that can get to
well.
EMEA with that. Yeah. Okay. Vi, I'm still not on the fence. You know, it's fine in that everyone likes it and it's like good enough. There's a lot that can kill Vi quickly there, especially a rapid fire cannon Corki. Should the game go that long, very difficult to execute. The Maokai will bite her head off in the opening moments of a fight. BlueWhites got around at the composition here. Renekton in the blind. Ornn's gone, so it's fine. Also fine. That's putting more pressure. A Cassante probably shouldn't come through for typical now. So this is what Rich Gang did to BlueWhites last game. Support to finish off. Can't be a Braum. You're into a misfortune. You got a lot of freedom here.
I actually really would like an Ali. The problem is
Ali
right now...
suffers the same way Rel does with getting picked on in lane, but then leaving. It is an option, though.
I think... I mean, that's very... Again, once they just want to play the ranged. Now, my only concern on side of BlueWhites is their engage is situational or non-committal. They don't have that snap engage like you did with the Malphite before, where that's what Alistair would fulfill within the team. This means the 1v1 in lane is going to be brutal, though, for Mariah and Kansky. And MK on Eagles did slam their lane last time, so I give him a little bit of faith on this one. The Renekton for typical in the top lane as his answer to the Gnar. I had a whole rant about this actually all last month.
Do you know what the most popular top lane matchup of all time is? All League of Legends, all pro games? It's this one.
I absolutely hate the Renekton. I think Renekton is a champion who, a good Renekton player pilots it very well. There is not a good enough Renekton player in this lobby. Straight up. Straight up.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, sure.
It is going to be two sides of the same coin, though. These guys are going to, slap each other a bit. Nothing's going to happen. They're going to both go low. Probably nothing's going to happen.
I don't even trust the best teams in tier 1 NLC to play Renekton. I really don't. I really, really don't. I think Renekton... It's weird because I think for a lot of people, Renekton is a fairly low-skill champ. But actually, I think you have to be really, really good to be able to pilot this champion.
Is a reliable platform. picked for the reliable 5-1 flash W, always a threat. You've always got the motion to position the body through the fight, and a little bit of survivability has got that little bit of
if
what
I'm seeing
everyone else
LFL
wants to do.
teams, if I'm seeing some of the top teams in LFL struggle to pull off the Renekton, I don't know if I trust Typical enough.
You gotta trust
now,
the
obviously, the
execution.
caliber of what you're playing against is lower. I'll give them that, but I feel like the Renekton could be a little bit of a weakness here, because we talked about answers to the last game, and like Kennen was up and available, and again that just adds so much more wombo to that combo. Gives you a little bit more kind of team fighting later on as well. Obviously it does mean you are somewhat lacking on a front line. That is your only concern there. You basically relying again on just the Rel to be your front line. But on the other side, I mean, they're relatively squishy. I mean, provided Nars not in Mega, pretty squishy champ as well. So we'll have to see. But going into this game too, I'm genuinely still in BlueWhites camp. I guess me and you probably have our little biases because they're the teams we followed.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think we're more balanced. I think we got away from the plague that is Kha'Zix in game one. I think I'm gonna treat this as a new beginning for Rich Gang, because again, the last series they absolutely shredded through BlueWhites, but BlueWhites, they've gone to the drawing boards, they're taking it very seriously, and they have learned from the massive sort of gaping disadvantages that we saw there, where they would just get taken apart in 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think the main thing for me is why I'm liking BlueWhites so much at the moment is their ability to recognize the weaknesses in Rich Gang's team. I don't doubt that Slice is probably a very good player, but he has a very small champ pool, and we might see a little bit of a fight breaking out.
Regular season
Kansky,
MVP.
they do get the slow in. They're going to continue to force onto him. He is losing a lot of HP. Kansky's flashed, has got the Hex Flash, so it's not the end of the world for them. That was a bit of a chunk to start it off.
That was a nice meeting of the minds in bottom lane. Just everyone on the same page. Yep, going to flash away. Absolutely. That's a small victory. Small victory. And a quick reset across the map does allow Kurosh this ward onto the blue buff. So once again, Ziz Maokai will be spotted out. Didn't make a huge difference last game, unfortunately. With the early kill onto Kurosh. We'll see if BlueWhites manage to revisit that early game excellence. Sort of the last thing I want to sort of drag up here from draft is the extra thing that Karma brings to this draft. It's a little bit of extra repositioning, goes a long way for Maokai, Corki, and Na. But then on top of it, we saw Kansuke spend a lot of time out of lane. Again, it's what Rel should do here into double range. Miss Fortune will be fine on her own, but it allows them to push the wave, manipulate the wave state so much better, and BlueWhites are already at it from minute one.
Yeah. Right, getting heavily bullied out here, as you would expect. Korosh taking a trade here versus Pomo, but I mean, these trades actually don't really work out for Korosh, auto for auto, just off the fact that Pomo has the fleet footwork, so
yeah, that
he's
one
got the sustain.
That one needed the phase rush proc, but unfortunately it was not started with an auto. Not quite to be.
Alrighty, well, just have a look at jungle state. Because this slice is actually clearing upwards, so that to me says, I've got a Renekton, I want to try and snowball early through the Renekton and get a kill up there. So looking for that Renekton plus jungle synergy. The problem is Veluxia right now has the wave, just outside his tower where he's quite comfortable to just sit back and just catch that farm from there. He's going to obviously be just trading up with the Graspers. We do see Slice actually looked for something onto Pomo, but Slice going to end out losing a little bit of health here. You can see that now Jones is making his way over. Just throws a sapling in to zone Slice away, and Pomo doesn't even really lose any farm for that, so perfectly good. And that slows down the ability to gank onto Veluxia, who's now got the level 3 and slowly starts to get a little bit harder to deal with.
Still holding the wave nice and tight to that corner as well. Makes it even harder to gank. Wouldn't mind Slice wrapping this one around, finishing up, getting the crab immediately back into base and running it down bot. Does mean you might arrive late to a crab, but look at the way the bot lane is up right now. Karma not super resilient to ganks early in the game.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to pull them off though at the moment.
It's just the wave she can hide behind. So if we imagine they were clearing the other way right now and Slice hadn't shown a hand on mid, this is time for your jungler to be in and around the bot lane.
Yeah, he's finishing up his full clear, sadly, as typical. Just going to place a cheeky ward down, get some information on where everybody is.
3 wards invested so far from Rich Gang into the Blue-Whites jungle. It's a bit of an overinvestment. It does mean in about a minute, maybe slightly less, counting is hard, we might see them actually be a deficit on meaningful wards, and they might be vulnerable around mid lane.
Yeah, we'll see if they can... Blue-Whites can make the play go in their favor if they do decide to go for that. The difference is remember, we know what information they're gathering with their wards. Rich Gangs and Blue-Whites don't know what each other's wards are unless, you know, they do spot them out as lane gets shoved in. Just going to call it off the back of that one. Reset. Massive, massive farm lead to start this game off with as Pomo out of hell.
He got hit by Slice. That was my moment of surprise. See that blue ward? As that was coming down, Slice had charged Q and just smacked Pomo around a little bit. So that'll be the force recall. Likely both of these mid laners are going to teleport back in. Kurash leaning towards the more defensive style with the Tear of the Goddess. We'll keep an eye on that. It does slow down the Orianna's power spike. I've been more of a Blackfire into Deathcap myself. That said, not quite as tough in a fight.
It's just a blue-white game. Very blue-white game where they're super good at stalling, and this is actually something I really liked. Something I really liked about Blue-Whites during the regular season of NLC was even versus the likes of, you know, your Ruddies and some of the top teams in the league, they were very good at just putting the brakes on. You know, they would make the games very, very hard for the teams to close out, basically. You know, they would still lose those games, sadly. That was their weaknesses. Even with the ability to slow it down, they were pretty terrible at actually closing the games out themselves. We do see Slice getting jumped into. Chains are on. Shockwave hits, but I mean, Slice, he has to flash. The Ignite comes in. Kanski misses the Q. The Collapse is actually starting to break out. The flash over the wall. Yones secures first blood. Pomo joins in with him. Can they land a little bit more damage? Arrow comes in from MKR. Pomo keeps this going. The lockdowns are there. MKR secures the kill. Pomo finally does go down in the middle of all of this, but Karash is so low. MKR just needs to find a couple more autos. The double kill for him. The play goes in favor of Blue-Whites.
Yones once again with a massive follow-up, a call to pick out Slice. Absolutely getting up in the grill of Rich Gang's jungler. They've made the draft about him. They're going to make the early game about him. And they will go to a 1,000 gold lead off of the back.
Big thing is where you look at that gold has gone as well. You know, there's a 800 gold lead now over to MKR, so he's just going to be spiking a lot quicker. Remember, MF versus Varus item-wise, Varus items are so much cheaper. Like, MF is buying some really expensive items as her first couple of items, so he is going to spike incredibly fast compared to Mirai. And Slice, once again, will be able to pick up the first grubs of the game. Don't really foresee anybody contesting, but Yones will take this Hextech Dragon. Bit more cooldown reduction for his team as well, and attack speed. I think this is an okay trade. I like this from Blue-Whites. I think they're happy for this.
It's reminiscent of last game. You know, I called the stat line that, you know, Blue-Whites just don't win unless they get those first sets. But they've clearly come with a different game today. They look calmer. Yones has always been where he needs to be. He's there right on time. They didn't even need to invest for Lux's teleport. They called he could teleport back up to the top lane as that fight broke out. And they feel comfortable. They look good. I think taking that dragon once again, it's going to set them on a similar path, a short clock to the soul that they can take easy, and it's on Rich Gang to try and fight their way back in. I'm amazed we haven't made a sauna joke yet. This is incredible discipline from us.
It's a bit of a, hold on. Is there a gank going onto Veluxia? Yes, but Slice is actually... I don't know if it was a gank onto Slice, actually, more than a gank onto Veluxia.
It's like, hey, you're in my jungle. Come on.
He lost a lot of HP, and Rich Gang just have to walk away. Yones, they know where he is. They can see him clearing that Grom, and they are just losing a massive wave for this. This is really bad. In fact, they've actually had to send Karash over just to come and guide the team, but the problem for Karash is Yones has seen him. The shockwave only lands onto one. The lockdown's coming in, and they're just going to find that robot pinned in place. Pomo killing his pocket over to him. Now, meanwhile, bot side, Chains go a little bit wide there from MKR. Just get a little bit of poke off, but ultimately, just more and more farm is just being gifted over. I mean, look at the farm deficit between Mirai and MKR. Now, Veluxia, no Nars available. They're going to chase onto him. He does have the jump if he can get it off in time, but the CC is going to be enough. There's the kill.
All right, the cross map leaves Typical the only member of Rich Gang with a gold lead, but Mirai now vulnerable into the tower.
Yeah, he might find himself in a little bit of danger. MKR gets stunned up for the moment as they are just going to put a bit of damage in. Egit's actually tanking it. Oh, they may just turn this around onto MKR. He does get a bit of return fire off onto Kansky. Q coming up. There's the kill to Egit's, and it's a 2-for-1. They're going to get the plates. BlueWhites, they'll be happy with that one.
Still a massive gold swing, now over 1,500 just off of those lost waves, and well, I suppose it's net 0 kills if we include Veluxia going down in the top side. All starts because Kurosh does clear out mid. Kurosh and Poma both got mid off, and then started to roam over and just clipped, I think, Kurosh in his ability to wiggle, trying to just maximize distance from Pomo, clipped the edge of the Maokai ultimate immediately to his death.
First items are coming in as well. You got the locket onto Jones, which is signaling that they're not here for damage. They're here to apply pressure for the team, keep everyone alive. The Ghost Blade finished up onto MKR versus Mirai, who's got a pickaxe and a Vamp Scepter. They got a 70 stack coal. Like, they're a long way off getting anything, really. Yeah, you see MKR heavily spiked.
It's a long road for Rich Gang in here. They should try and get second grubs sorted. I think we don't have the time for that on the screens. It's just over a minute as it stands. We'll be before the next dragon. Spawning it through. Jones once again using this Maokai to get a bit of extra vision. Try and see how Rich Gang comes forwards. And they're going to try and splinter off the Vi on the engage. Biggest weakness of the champion. You don't have Aftershock in the current configuration, so when you go forwards, your opponent is just a lot tankier than you. Buy some time. Leverage that advantage. Kansky going to take the poke damage here. And with this lane pushed all the way in, BlueWhites have free access to the lower river.
Yeah, they're going to get some damage onto the tower, a little bit onto Mirai. They actually hit the chains. That's going to be a massive burst onto Mirai.
Ouch.
Yeah, there you go. That's the Varus at this point in the game with an item. Big thing about this dragon, yeah, literally, right? Big thing about this dragon is normally I might have to hold that because MKR flashes away from the engage. In comes the lockdown though, the ults to follow up, and that should just be one dead support. They get the damage onto MKR, the chain CC comes in, but is this going to come at a cost is the real question. Slice slowed down, Pomo comes over the wall. Now they're going to continue to turn fire onto him. Chain's not going to quite make the match as actually Egit finds himself in danger. Mirai flashes forwards for the kill, and BlueWhites end up losing the fight.
A little overextension. They will keep the wave pushed in. It looks like Pomo wants to go for more. No mana though, so we'll have to try and exit here.
I think he just went for the plate. It was an extra plate available to him.
He's still going. I think they're going to do it.
Yeah, they're diving. That's the smite. That's the lockdown. That is the robot. And Yon able to reset the aggro with the W. That was beautiful. Really, really nice. Quickly, just to go back to the point because they very rudely interrupted me. This dragon, typically not liked. With a Karma, genuinely that little bit extra shielding, actually really nice. It's one of the only times where you can actually say, I like this dragon.
I do like that dragon. That's pretty cool.
Very rare, you can say Kentek's worth it. Does look like another contest is coming in. Veluxia, no ultimate available. They're going to get a bit of damage off of the Kansky. The R comes in, and that is the death of the Rel, forcing them away. So BlueWhites not going to give over the full 6 grubs, but they have given over 4. So the little grublets are going to be available to the side of Rich Gang. See if they can use them. Typical.
It's a small and typical. Just watching the BlueWhites bot lane walk in here. Not quite sure where he's going. Mirai up in the lane. Oh, that's such a shame.
Oh, Pomo is exceptionally fed. Once again, as well, the gold is where you want it. You got 5 kills on your Varus. You got 3 kills on your Corki. Like, this is just the stars of a line for BlueWhites. Now, Yotes has ultimate. He needs to throw it down. He's going to chase it on. MKR being locked in place. He can't move. No flash available to him. He's going to get a whole heap of damage onto Slice, who has to jump away. But that's kind of on MKR. He had no flash. He was way too pushed up.
I think BlueWhites sort of had a pause where they thought that Rich Gang would be pathing down towards the dragon that they'd kind of given up on. Because, you know, they found Mirai all the way into their tier 1 tower. Tier 1 in the cross map, so BlueWhites not losing out too much. The advantage will be maintained. He'll get to walk down towards this dragon as well. Will push Yones slower on his camps. But in this game, he's not even at a huge disadvantage, like, against the Kazakhs. He's absolutely happy where he is. Rich Gang, I think, need to once again find these bullet times. I've only seen it used once so far on that dive on bot lane. It came late. It came at max range. I want to see the setup. I want to see all the different pieces come together. Else, they're going to be all the way on the back foot. You know, we're only part way into the second game, but it's looking tough for Rich Gang right now.
Yeah, it really is, unfortunately, for them. Let's have a quick look at where everything else is. So Dragon spawning up.
Let's through at least for Mirai. They've got something sorted before the next big objective.
True. That is a nice spike for them. A little bit more sustain available. Able to dodge away on Egits as well. But see, I feel like, especially if you're going lethality, Serpent's Fang's very high value. Now, typical, flashed over by Pomo to put a bit of damage in, but Pomo's just 1 versus 2. What is that damage? Chains of Corruption hit as well onto Kansky. They even find the lockdown onto Mirai. The follow-up damage, the Gnar into the wall. Your Bloodthirster will not shield you any longer. MKR with a double kill. And the 1v2 from Pomo. This game is so hard for Rich Gang.
The man is locked in his cockpit, absolutely dialed in, defending the Division 1 spot. The only thing on BlueWhites mid laner's mind there. And it's a shame there was no real angle for Kurosh to teleport up and out. This is typical coming into the top lane, trying to get over Pomo.
Almost going to Valkyrie away, but the rest of the team is here. MKR's putting damage in. The lockdown, they've got the Q. Pomo making a break for it. The teleport from Typical was just tragic. BlueWhites would get the Herald as well. Oh!
The desperation, the nerves beginning to show. And despite Typical, you've had a great split, my friend. That was desperate. That was too much. With Dragon up with everything on the table, chasing after an overextension there has unfortunately paid dividends, but for the wrong team.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder, unfortunately, every game. The problem really boils down to the champ pools and the ability to ban out Slice. And unfortunately, Kurosh as well. The Orianna hasn't been as bad. I will give him that. He's actually been able to perform somewhat more than he did on the Nico.
It's commanded in each of the fights so far, but what I really want to see is a proactive big shockwave to pick someone out. And Yones has timed things so well. He's not able, because you normally would get in onto the melee front line. He's not been in a position where you can shockwave the front line, mess him up, be caught out. It's just not happened. He's been in the right place at the right time, and it's a real asset.
They're going to chase on to Veluxia. He's just able to flash away. And, I mean, they burn the flash, I guess. Ult for flash, not the end of the world for the side of Rich Gang. But, again, that was a bit of a desperation play. That was just a real desperation play. Like, they wanted to see if they could find the pick and get the tower, accelerate the goal back. We do see them finally get the kill. I think Veluxia overextended a little bit here as we obviously a whole heap of damage going in onto Typical. This tower very low. Egis just continuing to return fire.
Rich Gang maybe a false sense of security here.
I think they're done. That's going to be the damage they need. Mirai caught out by the chains, goes for the flash. His kills are secure. BlueWhites able to get themselves the kills.
I guess when you're struggling this much, any fight that isn't an immediate loss is temptation to extend, temptation to play it forwards. Mirai cancelling the bullet time early. Kurosh not being able to teleport over once again. Just a real struggle for Rich Gang so far. I think, you know, we've maybe got the classic best of 5 in high-stakes situation game coming up here, Prame. I think as Slice tries to run away, we'll see if he's successful.
He is, but
we got to go back in the last game. I think if it's going to be 5 bans on jungle, it's got to be something classic. We got to see Kurosh on some crazy assassin. He might not be getting his Ahri unless it's first rotation. I want to see Mirai on Zeri. It has been the pick of the split. I don't care if it's not the pick of the patch. Rich Gang have got to return to the way they've played the rest of the split, because everyone else has evolved and they aren't even playing their own game.
I think the most important thing for me, if you're looking at the mid lane picks, is they kind of need to ban the Corki from Pomo. He's been consistently very good on it. Or take it.
It's not blue one.
If Kurosh can take it, I'll be very happy, because they are making this MF and this Rel as their kind of top priority, and it hasn't really been working out because of this ranged bot lane playstyle that BlueWhites have prepared and ready. And like, I mean, look at that damage from the Corki. Pomo is absolutely annihilating anybody who goes near him. And he hasn't even finished his chains yet. Oh, there's the damage, but Barrier comes out for a brief second. Kansky goes down. Pomo secures the kill. Lockdown onto 3. Rockets go wide. Veluxia with the gnaw back. Double kill. Picked up for the tree. And that's just typical. Too late into the fight. Aegis gets locked down. Will give his life, but a triple kill over to Pomo. Tower falls down. That's the resets. Baron's up in a minute. This game might be a little bit of a wrap, unfortunately, for Rich Gang.
It feels like the train's at the station already. BlueWhites look so confident. They are inevitable on the approach. Anytime Kansuke or Slice think about moving forwards to the combined lines of BlueWhites, they have roared in the face. They have had such an easy time repelling the efforts of Kansuke and Slice to make their way forwards. Kurosh found the shockwave I was looking for, but it's 8,000 gold too late. Rich Gang looking like they maybe need to go back to the drawing board for their economic efforts.
I think that Rich Gang definitely need to change to blue side. They've been prioritizing red side the entire...
You've got your last chance. Last chance in the series, last chance of the split. It's throw everything at the wall. Even if the draft doesn't make sense, you've got to break BlueWhites' approach. You have to do something unexpected. I think Pomo, as we've mentioned, has to come off the Corki. They have the ability to do that. Their bans have been targeted at Jones, who's had a series maybe of the split, maybe of the career so far. Looks so comfortable. And they've not managed to succeed with those that setup. It's time to throw it out and draft up something new.
Yeah, it's a hard one, because I feel like as much as there's criticisms to have of Rich Gang and their approach towards this series, I think it really boils down to actually the positives for BlueWhites
to look this good. I wasn't.
I genuinely was. I know
the
right.
lower
Here's
bracket
the thing.
run did not look like this.
Here's the thing. Me and you are going to have a little bit of biases towards the teams we've covered the most. Because obviously you've seen the best of Rich Gang. I've seen the best of BlueWhites. I felt like a shutdown of the Pomo is pretty bad for them.
Donation, not bad.
I feel like the thing about BlueWhites and what really sold me on this team is the ability to look good even in their losses versus the top teams in NLC.
Yeah.
And regardless of their scoreline,
you need to go and fix.
Yeah,
you know,
regardless of their scorelines. Yeah, it's kind of like, it's regardless of their scorelines, they were still able to execute and understand win conditions quite a lot. A lot of their issues typically actually came from them kind of maybe giving up too much early, but versus Rich Gang, they're going to get in a practice how to play that early game a little bit better, and now we're seeing the real strength for this team. MKR's getting jumped onto, but I mean, that's just 8-kill Varus, like, you're not going to get it.
No, not a hope. I like that you mentioned the sort of falling away and losing at the early game as well. Looks like they've changed their disadvantage to an advantage. It's like they know how to push in this situation because they've been stuck there before, and the Baron going down at 22 in trade for a second dragon over to Rich Gang, well worth it. Looking good here from BlueWhites.
I mean, if you know how to hold on to a game when you're like 10k gold down, you know what to do when you're at 10k gold up, right? Like, you're gonna know.
You don't let your opponents do your favorite moves. You see
exactly. So like there is a lot in that saying of like, you learn more from your losses than you do your victories. But I feel like BlueWhites, they had so many losses. These guys have been in university this year. Like, they have been learning.
Some giant brains coming through, for sure.
Also, keep in mind, like, realistically, the levels of the teams they would have been scrimming might be a little bit higher off the back of that as well. I can't really say much about their scrimming because I actually genuinely don't have any information on that.
I haven't opened any of the servers recently or any of the sites.
That is a lot of damage.
No way.
Typical goes very low. Jones is still tanking. Karosh looking for the opportunity to come in. Pomo goes for the flank over the wall. Slice loses all of its HP. The bullet time actually does a lot of work, but it comes at a heavy cost. They chase onto Mirai more. Double kill picked up for Pomo. They find the lockdown. They find the damage onto Karosh, and that will be the triple for the Corki. Typical slices away from Veluxia, but his base has been left exposed. They traded 3 for the support of BlueWhites, and BlueWhites are looking to put this to match point. They've got another open inhibitor to take as they're just going to pressure up onto the tower. In jumps Typical onto MKR. They find the lockdown, they find the kill, but Pomo comes in for the tidy up, and that is the unofficial quadra for the Corki.
They're going to leave it there. They're not going to push their luck. Rich Gang definitely pushing their luck while they did find the fight, and they've been desperate for it for minutes now. taking that as the mid T1 falls is just a little off in terms of the best way that fight can go. Once that tower's gone, probably should have fallen back to the Nexus towers, invited mistakes from BlueWhites. I don't think Rich Gang are sort of respecting that their opponents are still mortal. They're doing very well. They've picked up a few little things, but they haven't found a big fight yet. They haven't allowed BlueWhites a big position to overextend on their lead.
Yeah, they really haven't. As we hit that 24-minute mark, BlueWhites getting themselves situated in the jungle. No dragon or anything to take. And I feel like the situation just gets worse. Worse. If BlueWhites actually make this game go longer than it maybe should have, to be honest, because I don't think you really should be getting a soul at this point. But if they are able to get to soul, suddenly you've got like all this sustain on the Maokai, the karma shielding, and like everything just like, it becomes so much harder to kill this team. I genuinely want to see a Serpent Fang out of MKR. Because you've got the Bloodthirster shield, you've got the Steris shield, you've got the barrier. I actually feel like Serpent's Fang's relatively high value. I think they're going, I always forget the name of this one, Sherelda's Grudge as their next item.
Yeah.
But I think last, I would love to see it.
I'm not sure. So ideally you want to cut Mirai to pieces. And there's only limited value versus Corrosion Slice. We'll see. I think the game's going to be over beforehand. Either way, in comes Jones.
Well, look at Typical on that flank, but the problem is BlueWhites don't have to overcommit here. They just get a bit of poke off, force them back.
They don't have to do anything till they're up against those towers.
Yeah, they've got two supers topside, so that needs to be answered out, but everyone's really low right now, and BlueWhites, the waves are getting cleared, yes, but someone has to move up and deal with the other wave. That's a massive wave to go deal with. Now, luckily, there was a bad synchronization on the crash.
Yeah, they do have to wait. This mid wave coming in and bot wave are sort of in sequence. They are almost as far away from each other as they can possibly be. So it means they will be holding this low wall for some time if they're just going to keep it.
Teleport actually coming in from Typical. He's going for the long flank.
Oh, he's indeed.
Slice, cues forward, jumps in onto MKR. They go for the wombo combo. They actually find it. The bullet time is huge. Typical secures one already. Pomo remains untouched though, and Jones is able to get a kill with the burn from the Leandries. Mirai going low. Pomo gets the shield in, gets the sustain from Aegis, and he is just untouchable right now. Slice goes down. It's going to be another. Veluxia slides in and secures the kill. Triple to Pomo. They invest everything onto the Varus, and it comes at such a heavy price.
Almost from Rich Gang with their backs up against the wall. They found a way. Typical unable to bridge the fork, and unfortunately backs against the wall for Rich Gang. 2-0 BlueWhites. They make it look so simple.
Again, that kind of just comes down to the draft was actually, you saw what Rich Gang's team looked to do. The problem is the investment was a little scattered, mostly because BlueWhites were able to position their carries miles away from each other, so they weren't both going to get hit by that wombo combo. Like, if Corki and Varus on top of each other and that shockwave bullet time combo hits, like, that is
almost was it.
That is another 10 minutes on that game, easily. Like,
set the clock back.
That would have been bought so much time. But really good positioning from Pomo to make sure him and MKR aren't easy targets to blow up and then win a fight off the back of. But ultimately, I mean, the only reason that got that bad for Rich Gang at the end there after such a good start to the fight was just the gold difference. And BlueWhites, they are just playing a better early game in this series so far. And that is now them 2-0 up.
We've hopped on them enough. They've got to fix the early, get rid of this Corki. They've got to sort it out, get through that early game, and maybe Rich Gang have got a chance.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very tall ask as we move on to game number 3. We're going to throw ourselves to a little break, and we'll be back with that third game. We'll see you in a moment. Hello everybody and welcome back to the NLC promotions. Now, BlueWhites are 2-0 up in this series. They are having an absolutely stellar game, stellar series so far. Now, there has been one change because the last two games were pretty much copy-pastes of each other. This time, Rich Gang have decided they want to go blue side. They've been picking red for the last two games. What do we think this is actually going to change for them? I'm hoping
this means Rich Gang will have some sort of concrete plan that they can execute through the first few minutes, because it has been blue-white sided pretty much the whole time. You know, varying levels of like, we can maybe get back into a fight, we can trade, even if at a deficit, get some gold on board for Rich Gang. But they've never had a winning outward play. I think Jones in the first few minutes always gets the edge, gets the slip on Slice. I want to see that change. I want to see a little more proactive play.
I think the big thing for me is jungle mid for Rich Gang. I think that's probably the biggest issue for them. Yes, Mariah and oh my god, I forgot the name of support.
It's all right.
Kansuke, thank you.
They were some of the way through the playoffs, but you hit a great point, because Kurosh and Slice, Kurosh has always been the pivotal 2v2 of his team for years and years now. That is the way they won in the regular season. 2v2 mid, Kurosh, easy, game's over.
Yeah, but they're getting gapped by...
not there. Yeah.
They're getting gapped by Jones and Pomo, and realistically, it comes down to champ pools. Like, Jones and Pomo are playing, for the last two games, like, two of the best champs in their role, and Slice and Kurosh have not. They, like, we've had a Nico and an Oriana coming out in mid lane into Corki. I just feel like I need to see Kurosh on, like, a Lucian or a Tristana, something that can actually answer back out. I prefer the Lucian to the Tristana. I actually don't like, and I said this quite a lot last season, I actually don't like the Tristana side of the matchup. I think it's not as favorable as people seem to think it is, but Lucian just being able to drudge over the Foss bomb with the E, wins the trades every time. Slice, Kha'Zix, not the one. Vi actually don't dislike. I think the Vi was an okay pick, but you could see that was definitely lower down their kind of totem pole of champs they want to be playing. So I am hoping to see, you know, either Slice have something like a Sejuani in the pocket and can just play more for the engage, because it feels like Slice wants to be a carry and it might be time to drop the ego. So we head into picks and bans as Seraphine gets banned away once again. If I see just the same comps but on the other side of the bridge, I am going to freak out.
Let's see what BlueWhites can do. I think in the back room we were on the consensus that it's still going to be 3 jungle bans. There's the Gwen. That's always the first one. That is never ever a sort of, consideration here. That was how BlueWhites fell to Rich Gang in the earlier series. You know, this is revenge. This is a rematch.
Yeah, please ban Corki. Rich Gang, please ban Corki. Oh my, it's the same draft. It's going to be the same draft.
Guys, come on. Where's the sidedness?
They have to pick Varus. I want to see Mariah and Varus. Mariah and Varus, please.
Mariah and Varus wouldn't be too bad. You've got Blue 1. You've got the ability to lead to start with this draft. There's no point me predicting it, because clearly we're out of the bag here.
Okay, thank you.
It's a change. MKL won't be able to run the Varus back. Blue 1 all 3 games so far this series.
All right, so what's the answer to Varus here? That's the answer to Varus.
This is not fair.
Yeah, that's fair. So what you put as your support is the question with the Ziggs, because they've been playing double range, lots of poke on Egits. So is he going to go like Ziggs Karma here, or are they going to look elsewhere? They don't need to go support yet. They're going to take themselves the Vi from Slice. Slice is like down that totem pole. I'm amazed that the Maokai wasn't picked up by Jones. I have to admit, that is surprising.
I wouldn't mind the Maokai coming through here. It will be a first round jungler, so no more 5 bans. Xin Zhao, maybe. I'm on the fence about it. It does have decent approach onto the Ziggs, and doesn't sort of suffer him in the mid range where it can't quite reach. So wouldn't be surprised to see the Xin Zhao through. That will come to fruition. I would be pairing the Ziggs up with something that leaves Ziggs Leona absolutely lethal. And with that in mind, from Rich Gang, you could try and get out ahead here, and then if BlueWhites do stumble, you could have second round of bans all for support. So I'd probably be looking into my own rel to also leave and probably get ahead instead.
I mean, this is just Corki. This is just a Corki answer for Pomo.
Yeah, if you do have the big red button at home, just slam it. Just
don't
smack it straight
I
down.
actually really want this to be a Corki and not a Leona. I mean, so you get engaged, but the problem is I expect to see Corki get banned. The reason I like the Corki is it gives you good damage profile. Now, the question is Pomo could go like a Tristana, could go
Pomo
I don't think
could have
Illusion.
the Ziggs. That would be an explanation. That flex may be
I would
mid-favored.
hate that.
I wouldn't like
All right,
that.
there's
but
2
I'm
picks
used
I
to
want to
the
see.
LCK.
If Corki's banned, I want to see Yone or I want to see Tristana. I think they are your best 2 options here for Pomo mid.
Both absolutely brutal into the setup. You're correct.
Exactly. They absolutely slammed the Orianna.
There it is.
Goes the Corki. So I think one of those 2 might get, but I actually think it'll be the Yone because Yone is infinitely worse than the Tristana in that lane. Let's see what they're going to ban away on the other side. Could go for something like a Rel. The Alistair is available. I wonder if Kansky plays these kind of enchanters, the poke lanes that we saw Mariah and Kansky losing to. Yeah, okay.
So maybe,
and I think they know that because they're not banning them.
Like, yeah, maybe someone earlier was like, why isn't he talking about Lulu or Karma that he just saw played against it? It's just because Kansky will not lock that in. He's had 1 Lulu game and otherwise has been Rel, Leona, Nautilus every single game of the split.
Come on, Pomo. Yone.
Yone's very good. It does suffer the Jinjar a bit more. And in that line, Blue-Whites may draw back to something else ranged. The Jace is a bit of a confidence pick here. I'm not sure I would lean towards it. The 2v2 with Vi decent. Technically flex, so it does open up R5. However, it does mean this Leona and Vi are on their own in the front. And maybe relying on that timing that Blue-Whites have shown so far this series, else a bit of a struggle to play that out.
I feel like if this is a Gnar top lane, we'll just see Veluxia take the Jace. I think that's why they picked this, because of the flexibility on it. Alistair makes a lot of sense as their support role. Rakan is also a good counter, but I feel like I prefer the Alistair, because right now, you are very squishy as a team. Like, Xin Zhao, his tankiness kind of comes from his ability to cleanse everything with his ult and just be unkillable unless you're inside the circle. Rakan, very squishy, but does offer that engage to the team. Right now, I feel like counter engage is bigger, and that's why I preferred the Alistair, because you're going to have a Leona and Vi jumping into you, so the ability to turn it with an Alistair would be way bigger. Yeah, I was about to say, if that's Renekton, you're just giving the Jace definitely over to Veluxia. Now, are they putting this Jace at the top lane, and they're going to pick something else for Pomo in the mid? Do they have an answer to this? I mean, there is still the angle of like the Kennen as more kind of team fighting tools for Veluxia, if they want to go down that road.
I would lean that way. I've always liked the Jace into the Gnar. It isn't as popular as it used to be. It's not as holistic. So the Malphite,
that's also really nice.
Going back to game 1.
Yeah, I love that, actually. 2 very immobile carries on the side of Rich Gang and the Varus and the Orianna. Very, very susceptible to Leona, Vi, Malphite. And then the Ziggs and the Jace are just going to be peppering from a distance where it's going to be hard for Slice to actually get to the backline of the enemy team, where Blue-Whites' front line can get to the backline very easily of Rich Gang. Yeah. I say it once again, ease of execution. I think that's in the favor of Blue-Whites in this game.
For sure. I also want to talk about like the reason we don't see Rakan so much anymore. It is very easy to disconnect Xin Zhao Rakan from the rest of their team here, and they don't complete anything on their own. They need the follow-up. They need that connection. A Malphite ult in the front or into the back will leave them in hot water, either in front of Pomo and MKR, unloading damage as that Crescent Guard wears off slowly, or vulnerable to a Solar Flare in either position. And it, as we've said, it makes it so much easier to play out. It's real difficult for Rich Gang here.
I can't remember who was talking to me about it. It might have been Foxdrop during the season, but like kind of space control. And what you have with the team on our Blue-White side is they have a lot of like space control. Like you enter this radius and you get killed, or you lose to summon a spell for it. There is so much zone control in just off the back of this team. It's not like, you know, where I think with something like a Zyra, it's very physical because you see where the plants go.
You command
that's the zone control. But like that command space is there with the Leona ultimate, with the Malphite ultimate, and some of the important things to kind of touch on is that the Leona ultimate is non-committal. So you do have the ability to snap follow up with the Malphite, but you have the ability to set up with the Leona ultimate as your non-committal engage and then the follow up. I think we're looking at a 3-0, if I'm going to be honest. And I might just have cast a curse to this and given us 5 games. But I'm very sold on Blue-Whites for the first 2 games. I think they've had a grip on the early game, which has been a major weakness for them over in the regular season in Div 1. Was they were very good at extending games. They were very good at kind of prolonging games, but they struggled because they gave up too much early, and then the teams who were ahead would eventually find a window and an opportunity to close out. Where versus Rich Gang haven't had a gold lead for a single second in this series. Like, they have been behind from minute one, and I just think BlueWhites have shored up a lot of their issues. They've done a lot of research. Like, they read through Slice's very, very lackluster champ pool, and I feel like they've had answers for Kurosh in the mid lane as well. I mean, that has been Corky, as it's literally just their answer, but they have had answers.
It's going to be an interesting way forwards. I don't mind Kurosh's Orianna so much here. Jace is one of his top 3 champions also. He's not played it a lot recently, but this matchup is going to be so familiar to him. And what I'm interested to see is BlueWhites have done the same thing each game. They've let Rich Gang move up and move over to the Grubs. They've picked up first Dragon, and not in a rush. They've done it comfortably. They've looked for opportunities around bot each time and often been successful. I'm interested to see with this composition whether you can get away with the same thing, because MKR won't be the late game Ziggs bomb railgun that we know and love at the time. And also, Yones will be a lot squishier on this Vi. So different opportunities. Kurosh trading heavy, trading low, will just about go even.
Alrighty, well, it's a little bit of a light trade, but don't really expect too much to break out in this lane for the moment. Although technically Pomo does have a bit of life still from his Torrens plate, so he's cool to trade. Gets a bit of that life back. As early, I do expect this to be Mirai and Kansky favored. Ziggs kind of needs the Lost Chapter to really kind of get that wave clear and the ability to deal the wave online. Yeah. Even so, did a pretty good job of holding him for the moment.
Doing all right. Both supports holding onto that extra stack, so we'll be looking for the level 2 moment here as it comes forwards.
That should be it. They do hit that level 2 at the same time, so I don't really think we're going to see any follow-up off that one.
No, big stalemate. Both junglers pathing down, and that is Yones spotted for the 3rd game in a row.
Oh, Zenith Blade lands in. They do get some damage off. They have the satchel as well, but MKR forced to flash away. Now Egitz is just putting some damage into Mirai. The Ignite was enough to scare MKR off, and I think that really was a bit greedy from Egitz. You really want those all 3 spells on MKR.
Yeah, they were fishing for Mirai's flash. Unfortunately unsuccessful, as it would mean that Yones' arrival here and the committal Vi's flash would secure the kill. They've got the health bar low, though. I think it's not quite mission success, but they're pretty close to being able to put a lot of pressure on this bot side at the time both junglers will arrive.
Well, they have teleport advantage as well, so MKR are quite happy to actually take a trade where he loses health as well, just due to the fact that he will be able to get himself healed up and back into lane nice and fast, although he really wants to hold off until he has a Lost Chapter before that reset.
Yeah, Chapter and Tier would just be so nice. It just gets you into this lane, and you can almost forget the mana bar underneath.
Looks like with the jungle is clearing down. Yones actually a bit slower on his clear, just finishing up his blue now. We'll head over to the crab. Maybe it was pretty much identical, actually. MKR being chased, though, is going to have to satchel away from Slice. As Egitz, maybe the one who's in trouble now. There's no slow available to MKR. They've just got the damage onto Egitz. Egitz able to flash away. In comes Yones, though, for the follow-up. The turnaround. Egitz is low. There's the flash forward. There is the kill onto Mirai.
All right, Rich Gang start this one up. BlueWhites, slight mistake there. Egitz holding the flash for far too long. They're going to get this disrupt as well. Oh, just short on stopping MKR's back. And yeah, that overcommit. The holding on to Egitz's flash just a little too long. It drops the health bar, followed up on. They do get Mirai's flash, but BlueWhites on the back foot. First time this series we've seen those numbers go the other way.
Pomo, I think Pomo's dead.
He's done it.
What? Why?
This is
Why did he do that?
Kurosh's bread and butter. First time this series, I think Pomo has gone for a trade and looks surprised at the outcome. Wasn't like, as soon as he moved back into the middle, I was like, yeah, no way. If he flashes away, he's not making it.
That was a little bit of a rough one on that front. They found the knock up onto Yo, and Slice actually losing this trade, though, especially with the passive stacking up. Pomo comes in with the shot blast, has the to the skies, forces Slice to flash away. Yones may get followed up onto here, charging the Q, waiting for the opportunity. Slice not going to chase any further forward. Typical's also coming over. As Typical may chase actually onto Yones. Egitz finds himself exposed. Is there a turnaround opportunity? Pomo comes in. Zenith Blade goes down. They've got all of the damage. The flash comes out from Typical. Find the knock up onto one. Kansky putting some damage back as Egitz flashless and very exposed. Veluxia too slow to help on the play. Right, it's just going to be one dead support. BlueWhites fumbling the early here. 3-0 to Rich Gang.
Yeah, this is more what a typical Rich Gang game looks like. They got the mid-wave in as well. Kurosh did not move. It's a level 6 advantage secured over Jace, who doesn't really have any sort of advantage at level 6. It is just base stats, no ultimate.
Oh, they find Slice actually with a knock-up. Pombo's going to go for the Q back over the wall. Can they find the opening? Pombo's forced to flash. Jones just doesn't pull the trigger. Can't find the chase, and Pombo been consistently good this series, and this is a pretty tragic game from him.
Yeah, so far not finding that neat timing that they get by putting Slice off kilter. Clearly the Jin Zhao in the wheelhouse. Rich Gang have now got that foot in the door. That's the early game we were asking for that we've been missing so sorely. They'll once again go for these grubs, but I think BlueWhites will maybe struggle to get into this dragon straight away. He gets still level 3. Mirai with the cleanse backup already from that early trade. So that advantage slightly nullified, and everyone will be running towards the bot lane as soon as these grubs go down.
I think BlueWhites are being a little bit cocky in this series. They play a little bit more into the pocket of the idea of that they were just ahead and we're in the heads of Rich Gang. They are on champions who are going to need items to spike, and like Jace with tier, probably not going to be able to 1v3 if I'm going to be real with you.
It's a very controversial statement. Where did you get that from?
Yeah, I don't know what Pomo was kind of on for that one. A few mistakes coming in. MKR, she's getting chunked out. They are looking for a potential flank angle. He gets only level 3, but in comes Pomo. Finds himself an opening. They find the knock-up. The Zenith Blade makes the connection. Pomo gets the kill.
Yeah, BlueWhites
they've been looking for it.
That's I'm a bit disappointed in Rich Gang. You know, we called out the bot lane is now the focus. Slice has come off of base. He's trying to get his level 6 through before he fights, but he's probably not going to make it. And they just seem to not respect the timing. BlueWhites didn't have those issues, didn't have to reset after the grub, so of course they were going to be there first. And with no vision, Rich Gang do pay the price. That is the continuation of Dragons for Grubs this series.
Bot lane's actually done now, by the way. Like, MKR comes back with a lost chapter. He's fine. Like, he's just never going to struggle to clear the waves anymore. It's such a big power spike to Ziggs. Jones? No smite, so I think you just have to give up the crab, my guy. They do hit the E. He's already used by Slice. Oh, sorry, W when it becomes lightning. He was already used, though, so actually chase, but
level 6
going to force him away.
Does chase forwards. There's not a lot in this jungle, so there's a bit of time wasted from Rich Gang there. Pings up onto the other side. Slice eager for the counter jungle here.
Pomo no flash, so he needs to just back off here. The moment Slice shows, I think he understands that Slice is just going to be looking for the cap from Jones. There's actually Pomo jumps in into Kurosh, just gets a whole chunk of damage. Slicing, the ultimate, the shockwave comes in. Once again, the Q's charge. This time, Jones comes over the wall. Again, too slow, though. Jones has been very, very trigger shy this game, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Oh. An unfortunate situation. Does
he's alive.
Get the flash out. That is that was a hope and a dream there. I think if an extra auto attack followed, that would not have been survival. Less than 100 health there, we can see on the HUD. And yeah, I had some critique for Jones' Vi. I didn't want to bring it up because they were looking so comfortable this series. But if you remember pre-draft 1, I did not want to see a Vi out of BlueWhites. They looked pretty 50-50 on this pick, on this configuration, where Jones often ends up just either having his approach broken or with a large number of deaths, a large gold amount, transferred over to the other team. And while he's avoiding that so far, mid is bleeding.
In Jones' defense, he hasn't actually died at all. I mean, he hasn't done anything. That's why. He's too scared to jump into the fight.
Yeah, it's not enough just to avoid donating gold over the mid lane that has been their strength so far this series. We brought it up before the draft. That has traditionally been Rich Gang's. Looks like it's Rich Gang's flavor this game. Yeah,
Pomo very, very decelerated right now. He, on the Jace, really spikes on like the 3 items. That's the major spike for Jace, and you got a long way to go. Now, luckily,
Shojin and flavor looks real good.
Luckily, you are cheap items.
Yes.
So that's like your one benefit here. Although Kurosh, I mean their first item's pretty cheap, to be fair. On the are they going Seraphs actually?
It was Seraph's first last game. I wasn't very impressed. Okay. It doesn't do a lot other than provide like more body, more health. It means that, you know, you can be doing one thing with the ball and someone's not going to kill you in the meantime, which is a good way for Jace to approach the small unit fights. If Shockwave's somewhere else, dive the Orianna, she doesn't get anything else in the fight. It's still not optimal though. You'd really prefer to knock them out before the Shockwave becomes available, or you get a decent angle. We'll see how that pans out, but you're right. BlueWhites not having their huge success so far.
Jones finds himself onto Korosh, gets hit by the ultimate. It's going to get the follow-up, though. A lot of damage comes out from Korosh. He's forced to flash away. Pomo chasing onto Slice. I don't think there's a kill potential there. Forced in the Orianna flash, though. Very nice for them. The question is are they going to go get these grubs? They've traded first grubs for Dragon every game this series. And so far, that has been relatively successful for them. Problem is they don't really have the pressure mid or top to contest them.
Yeah, I think with the Gnar in the game as well, it's just that extra threat. Someone who can actually rip the towers apart come later on. A little bit of trading up in top side. Looks like Typical tried to block Veluxor there. It does get the ultimate off.
I mean, you are so much weaker right now. Look at the item difference between the two of them.
Yeah. Saw the reset come through. Plenty of damage. Jones can just move away from those fights. Slice only gets that one knocker. Can't commit more, but it's enough to get onto the objective here. And such a stark reversal from our earlier games of the series.
Got a lot of damage into MKR. I don't believe they used the chains yet, so Egitz could find himself in danger. Holding that trigger for the moment. They do finally get it. A lot of damage onto Egitz. He's able to get away. How much health? 28. I think it was lower. I think it was lower than 28, though. I think he ticked up.
28 plus regen. Like that sort of flare was last moment. It was already too late to flash if that auto was going to complete. Just fantastic nerves from BlueWhites support. Holds them in this game so far. Oh no.
It's going to have to flash. Wind becomes lightning. Dodged. Really nice there from Pomo.
Looked like Slice was going to get the tip. That is Pomo just knowing the exact range, I guess, and a little bit of confidence probably to boot. If we're looking at the map, plenty of vision down towards this dragon. Second grubs were picked up, so that was 6 over to Rich Gang. And now teleports back in. Korosh doesn't have that available, but Pomo coming in with the Armus will be able to contribute to this Hex Check dragon. And you're right, Ziggs, there's a...
Wait, they're close to taking tower, though.
Yep. They did reduce the
I can't see the tower health.
There
we go.
Not
I can't see the tower health.
They'll get this wave.
Yeah, they'll get it to 2 plates, but
gotta get it a little further in there. Maybe 1 or 2 more uncontested waves on the tower. We'll do it. Dragon up, and in fact, Jonas just starts that one up.
Yeah, Jonas quite happy to pick this one up. More cooldown reduction is going to be good for them. The 6 grubs is a real concern, though, especially when you've got yourself a Gnar quite comfortably pushing topside. That's forcing Veluxia to teleport up as they feel comfortable that they're not going to be contested on the dragon. The problem is they're being contested on their jungle. Yone's consistently getting counter jungled, and he's not particularly comfortable to go in and counter jungle himself. The item deficit, a real issue for him right now.
Will be difficult. The Vi doesn't really have an easy way back in. Slice.
He's going to put some damage onto Korosh, but he is just taken out. There's no way they can play that one. They get a lot of damage onto Mirai, though. The bomb almost finishes him up. They jump in onto MKR. MKR flashes away. Typical's keeping the pressure up. The Slice is making his way over the wall. Mirai finds the damage. MKR goes down. It's a 1-for-1 so far. E gets low HP. Solar Flare not available. Jones, no ultimate either. Veluxia up in the top lane just farming because he teleported earlier. He gets with the assassination. It's a 2-for-2.
That felt personal. Rich Gang's AD carry finds the sharp end of Egetz's sword. And while he does get traded back over, just sort of a bit of a mess there. It's still 3,000 in favor of Rich Gang. This is what their games generally look like a little more often in a sort of economic win. They've swept up the objective they care most about. But it's a little messy. It's not clean. We don't see this team often pull out X for 0 objectives. They've always got to trade 1 or 2 to go a bit deeper.
I think the big issue from that play... Oh, no, Pomo. He's dead. He's dead. He has the flash. He is able to break away. They're chasing up. They don't find the knock-up. He does turn, actually, onto Kansky. In comes Egitz for a potential turn. Pomo is very, very susceptible to getting killed, unfortunately. But again, I think that whole play was just a sequence of mistakes. Can we not fight while I talk?
Yeah, they're about to do it again.
BlueWhites, just get some gold. You're so behind.
It's very unnecessary.
Veluxia roamed down for the dragon, which then forced them to teleport up, which then meant Typical had advantage. I'm going to hold this fort because BlueWhites actually just have 2 brain cells and all it is fight. Down goes the tower. In comes the solar flare. Massive miss from NKR though with the Mega Inferno Bomb. They get the shockwave, they get the follow-up damage onto Egitz. His W is tanky and keeps him going as they do trade out with a kill. But tower, first tower as well over the BlueWhites. I think they're okay with it. Oh, Veluxia, what happened?
The Gnar coming back into lane did go down there.
Wait, Jones is going to turn. They're turning. Veluxia has ult. He's looking for Typical. Gets the slam. In comes the follow-up. In comes the damage. Typical jumps out. He has the damage onto Veluxia. Slice is making his way forward. Jones can't close the gap onto Typical. And there's no way BlueWhites. Once again, a fumble comes in. Veluxia is forced to flash as Slice takes a couple of tower shots. Oh, no. Jones is so weak.
Rich Gang have really got it together. Jones, he thought he got the drop. Untypical there, but it's Slice. So much confidence. Too much.
They got the lockdown onto Slice. MKR's putting the damage in. Shut down over to the Ziggs. So a nice injection of cash into him, but you kind of want to be Pomo, who needs to get some money in his pocket.
Both teams really feeling it right now. Rich Gang are like, yeah, we got through an early game. Let's go. Time to fight. Time to do the things. BlueWhites still riding high of their last 2 games. And really, both teams leaving nothing on the table, wanting to take every chunk they can out of each other. Herald is up. It's not a priority objective. I expect both teams to steamroll towards it and use all cooldowns. Why not?
This is very much the BlueWhites from Div 1. Like, even when they were behind versus the teams who were way better than them, they were still going toe-to-toe with them and fighting. And ultimately, these trades have not gone in their favor, but they are still answering out with kills. Every now and then, they get that kind of little bit of injection of cash into their pocket.
Yeah.
So it is
they're going to keep
surely
fighting, and no one can tell them otherwise. That's, it's a bit of an inspired game plan, I'm not going to lie. It's leaning quite heavily so far into Rich Gang's ability to just hold them at bay just about. That said, MKR definitely going to scale fantastically later on. The Varus not as weak as it used to be as the game goes on. It's not 2 items, and I guess the rest maybe don't matter. Does get better as time goes on, but not equal to the Ziggs.
This Mountain Soul's really big. For either team. Both teams are poke teams, right? You've got the Varus, you've got the Jason Ziggs. Like, there's a lot of poke on both teams. Having that shield and those extra resistances is actually huge. I mean, like, Malphite with it as well. It's broken.
Leona doubling down on the W. You got plenty of little extra synergies on those frontlining members who so far this series have been the ball that everyone else has played with and suffered plenty. We'll have to see as the Dragon coming up. Both teams complete focus on this. They did drop away from the Rift Herald.
MKR has a Horizons focus already.
Yeah, I've been on the fence about this one. It has been changed, so it's no longer range and CC. It's when you hit something at range, 10% damage amp and reveal.
Yes.
A little different than what I'm used to.
MKR is slowly getting poked out though by Mirai at this point. Mirai, item and a half in. There is so much vision in this bush. BlueWhites have got their work cut out for them to clear this one out. Egitz is going to start it up.
Veluxia moving forwards here is the biggest piece. He is the most reliable piece of CC, and so far looks like
Mirai has to throw the chains down. They do get the 4-man quickness off. The Gnar's huge. They jump into the backline. MKR puts some distance out. The Mega Inferno Bomb makes its connection. There's a turnaround. BlueWhites secure themselves 2 kills and lose nobody. And that was a beautiful engage by Kansky. Genuinely a beautiful engage.
It lined up so perfectly. Kurosh got pushed out at the side, though. I'm not sure if it was a satchel charge. I didn't quite see what went down there. Or maybe a shock blast, but his health is still full. But the Orianna was not in range, nowhere near the fight. Not able to capitalize as that massive cluster in the middle would have really benefited a shockwave over the top. Rich Gang not able to come together, not able to make it happen. And BlueWhite strategy of coming together and playing out the fight as best they can earns them at 3 dragons.
Shot blast from Pomo onto Mirai, followed by the bomb from MKR. Forced Mirai to panic ult as well, so he was way weaker. Now Typical's actually jumping into Pomo. Pomo has to send him packing. He is low HP, dodges the Q, but wow, Typical's damage. A nice fire back from Pomo, to be fair.
It's hard when you just get the Triforce first. Nars current configuration, you do a load of damage, but you are not, especially when small, as tough as people would remember. Looking across the map, nice defensive line. Oh, actually, I've got those colors the wrong way around. Color blindness is a hell of a drug, kids. Don't do it. Get an eye test. It helps. Blue line into BlueWhites jungle, so that's Rich Gang around the enemy blue buff. Does mean that they've seen the Malphite currently unsupported, and they know that BlueWhites are coming down to BlueWhites are coming down towards the Baron. Means that they won't face check this in. Mirai's in the correct position on the wave. This should be Rich Gang able to contest the next round division because they went so deep last time.
No, they're going to jump in. The chains come down. They land onto one. Slice going low. Yones getting chased onto for the moment. He is just gonzo. Mega Inferno Bomb doesn't quite make its mark either. That was again, Yones finding himself just getting caught out. Probably going to want to outweight Typical. As Mirai just eats the shock blast. Have a bomb coming forwards.
Teleporting from Veluxa as well. BlueWhites did panic a little there. Rich Gang were just in the right position, knowing that their enemies were coming from the left. So that is the advantage they bought. Flash away. Just a little hands check there, Mirai. Good answer.
Yeah, the shot blast though from Pomo, so continues to be low.
It's almost the I don't know, do you guys have a thing that you call like the Malphite? Is just he stands still, he's just patient, and then he just ults. It's just like 100% hit accuracy.
What?
Like the opposite of hands check. Hands check is like flash successful, you get away, and sometimes you just eat the Malphite like a sandwich, straight on the jaw, no hope of escape.
And there's been sleep at the wheel, and then there's just reaction
Sleep at the wheel, I like that one. That almost happened there, it was close.
Yeah, I mean, Mirai was ready, but that is the flash burn. They look for MKR. He just beautifully dodges away. No flash available to him. He dodges the Wimbledon blade. The Ziggs is just walking in the opposite direction, and he's able to make his way out. Yones does go down. Aegis finds himself knocked up. I'm going to put a whole bunch of damage on to Kansky, though. Chasing forwards a little bit more. Typical's locked! And down he goes. They fire back, and there's the Q from Pomo. A flashless Varus is a very easy to kill Varus. No W to speed up Pomo. And oh my word, the acceleration gate just dodged away from that blast.
Yeah, I got one.
The 6 seconds
was pretty close.
4,
3,
2. No, he's not doing it. No, my word!
Oh my gosh!
Oh.
I think we may have cursed BlueWhites there. Just the energy was a little too high.
No, for everyone at home, what was happening was we were counting down Pomo's death, not Kurosh's.
Not Veluxa's ultimate, definitely not at all. Couldn't be us.
Oh my word. I swear, Pomo's used all his brain power in the first 2 games. Like, this guy... needs... I don't know, man.
What is the man without the suit? What is the Corky without his little plane? It's just, it's not quite hitting the same.
Right, Dragon spawning in 1 minute. He gets is just having some portal combat, although Slice is not going to get him. MKR's low. How did that happen?
I'm going to put that down to Mirai having slightly better position on the wave.
Yeah, he has to reset, like, now.
Doesn't have teleport. Has 1 minute before the objective, so you got just enough time to get in and out.
They're going to stop his... No, they're not. Okay.
Oh, I thought that was coming.
Honestly, stopping that recall there could have been so impactful. That is
that's Pomo.
Actually Pomo who's coming in. The Chains of Corruption come down. The slicing nails! Oh, it's not, no, the shockwave. I keep getting it muddled up with the cannon, but oh my word. Pomo teleported in and immediately died.
Massive blunder and slicing maelstrom, all the same, cut to pieces.
Veluxia.
BlueWhites have to just hold on to their tier 2 here.
Yeah, they're just CCing on to the mountain. Oh, Pomo.
That's a blunder and a half, that is.
That is sadness. He is heavily getting chunked out. Lots of damage from the bombs from MKR, though. Adding up, Veluxia still got the flank. Pomo up in 8 seconds. No teleport. They may just have to give this dragon up. It's only the first one.
He's pretty tight on timing. Might just make it down here, especially if Egets can start to interfere.
Egets has that solar flare. He's going to find himself caught out. Slice is chasing onto him, and that should just be the kill. Veluxia holding that ultimate, waiting for the perfect opportunity. Pomo almost in range. Can they find it? Mirai is caught! That's the assassination they needed! Jones finds the kill. Interruption from the satchel charges. They get the two-man slam down, but it's not going to be enough. MKR flashes away from Kansky as Pomo secures the kill. Dragon up. No Baron available to the side of BlueWhites. Bomb goes wide. In they come. There's the shockwave. There's the double kill. Down they go. Baron Dragon is secured. Probably Baron, if I'm honest with you, off the back of that one.
Slice
oh
just
my word.
Finds the angle. The shockwave over the top. Absolutely sublime. Kurosh 707. Reminding us all why the Orianna looks so good in his hands. Not going to quite translate the Baron here. I'd have liked to see them give it a go, but Veluxua is holding teleport, and the take would be glacially slow without Mirai there to corroborate. And Rich Gang, they are having a better game. They managed to stand up and take an objective in contest. First time this series.
26 minutes on the clock. BlueWhites down a lot. 7,000 gold at this point. They have some serious work to do now. 3 items have been finished onto MKR. Has himself the Void Staff. I assume it'll be a Death Cap as his next item.
There is a little uncertainty there, just because I don't think... So the bonus off the horizon is like flat 10. So it's not always Death Cap on this build. It is more optional. We'll see what he goes for. He hasn't got the mana upgrade at all. So I think Death Cap's still on the table. I'll be interested to see what he goes for.
Looks like BlueWhites looking for a potential angle onto Slice. They're going to jump forward. They get a whole heap of damage onto him. Not really, actually. They barely chunk him out.
Stalemate up in front of this Baron. This is Rich Gang trying to find something so they don't just flip the objective. They want some flashes. They want some ultimates before they get started. They get MKRs only. It's not what they're looking for.
Oh my word. They really have to respect these shotwaves. They are on cooldown now. Egets tries to jump forwards, but there's the Chains of Corruption to come out. Remember, MKR, no ultimate available. They do find a lockdown onto Tower, onto Slice. The Ignite also committed there. Shot Blast comes in. Typical jumps on to Pomo. Pomo's just spacing him right now. Jumps him into the skies. They find the knock-up. They find a turret, but no kill available. BlueWhites, they're just struggling to make the damage connect here.
Yeah, 2 teleports available. 3rd coming up soon. It's up to Rich Gang whether they want to start. This would be a difficult Baron. They've got to sort of repeat that loop once again.
Oh, he gets...
See the TP on mid.
Yeah, MKR's made his way over. Looks like actually they're going to get some damage off here. Bomb's going to actually get blocked out by the ultimate. There's the Mega Inferno bomb. It secures the kill onto Typical. In comes Pomo. He has the potential turnaround angle. Everybody is low. They can't quite get it yet. Look for the bomb. Can they make this damage connect? I do think Rich Gang are too low to start Baron. They're going to get poked out, but they are thinking about it. Kurosh, he has the shockwave, so he could look for an angle to just one-shot someone. Egets is chasing in. They know this is happening.
Slice will heal through here. Look to MKR, the lowest position. He's got to dissuade them off. He's got to try and land things in front of the pit.
Oh, Slice finds Pomo. Pomo has to flash away. They have been able to dissuade them from the Baron for now, but that's the kill on to Egets. MKR now getting jumped onto. Does he have the ability to escape? No, he does not. It does stop Baron.
They've stopped them. Oh, maybe Slice actually wants some more. Will heal through, and if he has much support at all, the Zinzao can do this on his own here. Let's teleport back in as well.
Veluxia teleported into mid.
Okay.
They're not checking. They're not checking.
Two TPs as well. So massive investment from Rich Gang. I think we do have to highlight Slice for a second here. Between those 2 fights, perfect Crescent Guard, defended more than his own health bar remaining. Took MKR ultimate Q, Shock Blast, everything the BlueWhites were throwing at them. And back to back there, picks up kills, sustains what is a massively greedy play. But just knowing how measured to be, it's what we've been missing from Rich Gang so far. Looks fantastic on this jungler. It's not Vi, it's not Kha'Zix, and the Zinzao is working out.
Yeah, the Zinzao has been a very big pick for them, but Pomo has just been really underwhelming in this game, and he has been gapping Kurosh for the entire series. So to see him go 9-0 versus Pomo, who's 3-7, It is rough. He's only just finished that third item up. He has been significantly slow on putting that one together. And now it does look like Rich Gang trying to turn their attention towards the dragon. But we are now very much in BlueWhites territory, a team who are very good at slowing games down. Kansky looking for a potential flank, dodging on the Zenith Blade. I think Aegis is happy for that miss, because that probably would have been his end, or his flash.
Yeah, actually, I didn't want to take that. Can you just not pull me into your team? It's
the classic Nautilus hooking under tower. Oh,
used to be Lee syndrome.
Jones is just okay. Like, he's all right, but that he has been very underwhelming on this champion. Again, he's been really good this series. Very, very underwhelming. Do see a shockwave land onto Aegis and Veluxia, so best case scenario here for BlueWhites, because they are particularly high priority targets. Just get a good chunk onto them. Tower goes down. Baron's getting used. They're going to find the lockdown on to Korosh. They jump in immediately and blow him up, looking for a second one in return. 2 kills go over. Mirai being chased down, has to flash away. Wants to reserve, keep his shield going as Inhibitor goes down in the mid, but you got a Ziggs. You're probably A-okay with this one. Yone's dodging away. BlueWhites, they want to get this soul. This is going to be a big one for them. Really buys them a lot of survivability. Typical now loses that Gnar form. Mirai about to get the ultimate back up. In they jump. Over the wall Jones goes. Finds onto Mirai immediately. Looking for the opportunity. What a crescent guard though. Able to buy the space. MKR too slow to the play. Will do a whole heap of damage, but the chains land onto Pomo. Pomo finds himself double killed by Mirai. MKR trying to break away from this one. Has been able to put some distance, but Typical's found the opening. Aegis separates himself from his ADC. MKR just going to jump over the wall. Gets the slow onto Typical. Nobody's coming up anytime soon. They may just close the game.
Yep, no time for that dragon.
MKR is just about out.
All right, that wave is something. Ziggs does suffer magic damage into the Baron, but not the easiest.
No, I think this may just be the end of the game. Slice jumps in forwards. There it is. The ace goes down. Jones coming up in 2 seconds, but I don't think he's going to be able to save this one. Rich Gang, they struggled for the first 2 games, but they struck back in this one.
It was enough to flip away to blue side, change things up, first rotation. They do get a jungler who was banned away late last time around. And now they have to look to do it again. I would be remiss if I did not think BlueWhites were going to pick blue. Now I
think this is just blue side. I think this is blue side virus, and then they just win off that. I mean,
maybe it's not impossible.
I genuinely do think as well the Maokai was open, and it was a bit of an ego pick to go for the Vi.
I think
Jones
they were
has been
trying
playing so well on the Maokai. Imagine that game with the Maokai instead of a Vi.
For sure. I think they were trying to push. So with only the 3 bans, they were like, the 4th ban is us picking the Vi. That's us trying to push him deeper, trying to take it away. And I think the Vi hasn't looked great for both of these teams. You mentioned the zone control. The way they're both playing and this patience really doesn't lend well to someone being left out in no man's land. The Vi so frequently finds herself there. Whereas the Xin Zhao could say, actually, no man's land, my Crescent Shield, come at me, bro. And that worked out quite well here. Difficult position for Rich Gang. Still backs up against the wall, but a little glimmer of hope.
Yeah, definitely. But, we'll have to see. We're going to throw ourselves to a quick break. And we'll be back with game number 4. So we'll see you in a moment. Hello everybody and welcome back to the NLC, a promotion tournament. We are very close for BlueWhites to getting themselves through, but they fumbled on the last line there, giving a win up to Rich Gang. And we had a bit of a talk. I'm pretty opinionated on this last draft. I think it was actually terrible. I wish I could say the word I actually think. Starts with an S, ends with a T, by the way. It was absolutely terrible from BlueWhites, that draft. We were talking about the Jason, like how it was a good idea to have it as like a flex pick, but then like, what were you actually flexing it for? It wasn't really going to work top with the things like the Nana open. So why didn't you just go down the Yone or the Tristana angle? Pomo would have been probably way better to perform on that. And for me, the biggest opinion for me and the biggest thing I had an issue with was the Vi. I just feel like Maokai was open. Maokai has been literally the reason they've gapped so hard in the first 2 games. Why did they just not pick it? I think Yones wanted to have a bit of fun. I think he was a bit bored of tree duty.
Maybe a little, being a vegetarian is pretty good for you in current jungle meta if you're not on like a big AP feast or famine option. I think with the Zara banned away, like Yones, we've critiqued the Vi, and they just felt they had to go to four effective bans by taking it away from Rich Gang, and it was a bit too much. I think leaning into the takeaway, if it doesn't work out, that strategy in draft leaves you very exposed. Rich Gang picked a lot of comfort, and it worked out.
Well, BlueWhites have selected blue side for this game 4. No surprises there. I expect them to get their hands back on the Varus, and that should probably unlock MKR down in his lane a little bit more. Again, we've got things like the Senna and the Karma now, which then have to get thought about by bans for the side of Rich Gang, because they don't really want to be playing into that double-ranged poke lane that they're playing. Yeah, I think the big thing is like, you know, if they can get their hands back on the Corki, back on the Varus, they're going to be sitting pretty. If they can't get the Corki, or the Corki's picked against them, or it's an Orianna once again, I just think the Yone angle is so strong. We saw a lot of teams over the summer really recognize the strength of this champion and how good he is into some of these champions. I think Karosh had a very, very good game on the Orianna, but it is a weird champ pool. It's a weird champ to kind of be falling back onto right now, where, you know, there were a lot of strong things open. And I think the big thing about that to me is it's very, very punishable with the current meta mid laners. So Pomo just needs to kind of move down to theirs. Into picks and bans, I don't really expect things to change. The Zyra once again banned, the Gwen banned.
We've dropped Seraphine first. Seraphine has been the first ban so far every single time. Might just be a quick rearrangement, might be a quick reassessment. But in my head, I was going through like, I don't want to see Senna. I don't want to see Corki. I was like, what do you drop? Corki. And I was like, Seraphine for MKR is like pretty good. Like, you know, BlueWhites have made great use of it, but is it really as essential as the things that have gate kept Rich Gang so far this series? I'm not so sure.
There's the Varus.
The Varus, wow. Yeah. So we are dropping the Seraphine big time, and also the Senna left open as well. BlueWhites, the first blue one this series that cannot be Varus.
That really probably changes things up for them. You could just blind the Maokai here and kind of see what they're looking to play bot side and then pick a counter to that. You talked a lot about the Zeri and how that is an angle that Mirai can play. The Varus was obviously an answer to it. Karosh locking in potentially. I think blind picking that is...
I think if it comes with Jinzao, it's fine, but it is very bold, shall we say. Very confident. It is the other half of Karosh's major 2 champions, the Ahri and the Orianna. What he's known for. Wouldn't be surprised to see it go in from here. And I kind of like this from Rich Gang. Not in a this is good way. All right, Orianna all the same, but they have successfully broken what was a repeated draft from BlueWhites in 1 and 2. This is now less sided and sort of less reliable. This is going to be Jinzhao. This is going to be some sort of fighter jungler. They can't let Slice fall through the cracks again.
Yeah, see what they're going to lock in. I swear, if he locks in the Kha'Zix, just close your client, bro. We're done. We don't need to play the game. Much better. Slice looked very good on this one. I do like the fact that Yones isn't on the goddamn Vi this time, because that was horrific. Right.
Rough.
I want a Yone here. I really want a Yone here. I don't want to see Jace again. I think Pomo did really poorly on it. I don't think it's particularly solid right now anyway. I think Yone, Tristana... I mean, it could technically go Lucian as well. I don't think I'd like to see Lucian. That's more
Fortune.
At the Corki.
Okay.
I think, man, like, obviously Ezreal was nerfed this patch. It wasn't a massive nerf, but there was a nerf. If you want to continue to play the range, Ezreal is an option. Like I said, MF is really solid right now.
Yeah,
There
I think we're on
no
we're on
rel available though.
Fortune, Ash, and Jin all look really good here. Oh, buddy.
Oh, I'm gonna pop a blood vessel, bro. Why did he pick this champ?
I
He did
think
so bad on it.
the only way I can think of this is Pomo's favorite way to attack Orianna in the matchup, and we sort of went over it last game. Is like Orianna's playing two places at once. You know, the body is left behind, all the ball plays the game. And attacking the body in that situation, Jace is really good at just unloading all skills as fast as you can. However, it didn't look good, and this is Kurash's primo matchup. This is what he was training for. This is years and years of semi-pro play that
This
he
to
has
me-
played Orianna Jace.
This to me says that Pomo doesn't play like Yone, Tristana, like really solid AD mid laners right now, which is a problem because I think they probably should have those under their belt by this point, especially with how long they've all been in meta. Right, let's move into the second ban phase and see what gets taken away. Obviously, I actually think a Gnar ban would be really good here for BlueWhites. You don't really want typical blind picking that, and it's very blind pickable for them. So I think a Gnar ban would be pretty high value for the side of BlueWhites going into this.
They want to
Next
hurt his
stage.
flexibility. Okay, Ezreal I don't hate. I think it does suit Rich Gang a little more than Blue Whites. I think Senna Ezreal misses kind of the best bits of having an enchanter. As you mentioned, nerfed slightly down the priority tree, but it lets the Rakan play on his own. If we're going to hurt Typical's flexibility, Volibear sits below the surface and was pickable twice already this series, games 1 and 3, as like a last ditch. And it achieves what those champions performed on. I like the Malphite takeaway because you can never take Malphite's R button away. It's not doable.
Yeah.
Rich Gang here, decent setup into the last phase. It's probably going to be AD in the 4th slot. I kind of don't want to see split bans. Blue Whites have to take away an AD here. I'd like Jin or Ash or Fortune.
Misfortune
Gets locked in.
Well, yeah. Now that basically forces Rich Gang to they're always going to counterpick top lane because they want to get priority on AD, especially with the pool trimmed. What is up and available?
Has to be Ash.
Ash is
I'm
very
looking
nice.
at Blue Whites. You know, we're remembering game 1, and that Senna was so unapproachable. The Maokai had so much space. Ash decimates a Senna who has left herself slightly exposed. A Kaiser is decent pickup from Mirai.
Okay, so instant
similar
Ash
thing.
for Blue Whites.
Yeah, instant Ash. It's so good here on both teams.
I feel like this is just Ash Gnar, right? Unless that Jace is flex.
The Jace is still flex, but you have to close.
I think it's Ash Gnar. I feel like that's
I wouldn't mind
solid.
Aatrox in the blind.
Aatrox is up. I totally forgot about him.
Yeah, he's been
very
quiet
good at
about
it as
that
well.
one. His one win on the champion.
Oh,
and
it's
hasn't
fasting
been-
Senna.
Oh.
It's fasting Senna. Wait, no,
Oh,
they
damn.
changed that, right? Did they change that?
Yeah, that's not that good anymore. And it also means the enchanter portion, like the damage you're relying on. If you noticed in game 1, the Senna's build was a bit weird. It's not what you used to. There's no Yamus. It was Cleaver, then Moonstone. Like you're into that sort of field. So I'm not sure about the bot lane there.
Feel they
Aatrox is
just
cool.
gave up draft.
Aatrox is cool. I don't like the Nautilus though. It's not okay.
Bro, just pick Ash. The Aatrox is fine.
Go on,
Olaf is
typical.
the arm? Nah, they won't do that. I
He
think
does. He plays it. He's played it this tournament already. The Olaf.
Into the
absolutely
Aatrox?
brutal. Not into Aatrox so far, but it does work.
He is, yeah. I feel the Renekton's the safer matchup 1v1. I wouldn't want to be playing Olaf into Aatrox if I'm honest with you. I think Blue Whites might have made a mistake here. I feel like the Ashe over the Nautilus was a way better pick. I haven't seen a AD Senna since the changes, so
Still
how does it do?
technically works, but that sort of one item, lethality empowered Q that does sort of the healing job, but then you're unloading as an AD carry. You don't get that feeling anymore. And 2 items in, sure, you're applying that Black Cleaver down. And it just doesn't feel as stable. I think the laning phase could get really messy. Rich Gang's bot lane is more resilient than it is proactive. It's hard to keep a Kaiser down, especially as the late game approaches and 2-3 items come through. However, it's more of a stalemate. We've been used to, Varus every game, big poke setups. The lane is pretty strong. Neither of these bot lanes is a conclusive sort of I will take over the game now. It's going to be slower.
My takeaway for this game is use your Maokai to attack mid. Don't Pomo 1v1 the Orianna. That was really stupid and it didn't work.
Kurosh has got
Genuinely,
that lockdown.
you have an Orianna who is a very gankable champion. Once you burn that flash as initially as well, it's actually just so over the lane for Ori. So get an early gank in on the Orianna, blow your summoner, then repeat gank and get Pomo snowballing, because Pomo, had he not absolutely just giga sprinted the lane, probably could have done a lot more in that last game, but he was so far behind the curve for the entire game, and Jace behind just feels awful to play. It is really, really rough. So I think if he can, wait and play around Jones, and now Jones is off the Vi and onto something he definitely looks a lot more comfortable on, can have a lot more early impact on as well. I'm optimistic that you can then pair up your jungle mid and continue to gap like you did for the first 2 games. On the other side, though, Slice, this Xin Zhao, finally seen him actually really perform, and he's been underwhelming the entire first 2 games. That game 3, he was the difference maker. He made all of the difference, so much impact on the map. Him and Korosh, the 2 people who were the most underwhelming players in this entire series, really stepped up in that game 3. So with them getting those 2 champions once again, they're obviously going to be looking to replicate that. I think this game is entirely decided by jungle mid.
Oh, strongest point of these 2 teams by far. I am pretty confident that you're on the right lines with break mid. Korosh is going to feel empowered in this matchup now. He's just won this, and they're running it back. So he's got to prove himself. He's got to prove that it is really him, not just the side of the map, not just the jungle setup. Maokai doesn't want a 2v2, but he does want to get opportunistic. He's got to find the timings where Slice needs to respect a side or be on a camp, drop a camp himself, run through mid, burn his own flash, get into Korosh, and make the matchup more one-sided. I am a little worried about what's going to happen bot lane. Eagets does have teleport. They're down a combat summoner.
I want to see Jones replicate his build from game 2, where he goes locket first, because that could shore up a 2v2 when they break out.
The magic damage on this team is Nautilus E, and that is it. You
are correct. The tank on the other team is no one. So it's not as bad. If they had like an Ornn, I would be very nervous right now, but they don't. They have a Renekton. So most of their tankiness will come just from health anyway. So I don't like the Leandris was second in that build, but I think initially locking in some tanky stacks, locking in that shield will be such a difference maker on these early scraps and skirmishes. I want to see Jones pick it up. Also, it's very cheap. It's not an expensive item.
It doubles through when you have stuff like the center as well. If you buy enough time for another rotation, you've like effectively doubled your gains. Which is a pretty good time.
Oh, MKL's he's not fasting, sorry, he's farming, but he is also standing still and just eating lots of damage.
Yeah,
got the Q, so he'll be
I
able to
like
heal
the
up.
hybrid farming. Should turn into fasting with the item setup. Gosh, there's a lot of fist fighting for these 2 bottom lanes level 1. These champions generally don't do that much.
Yeah, struggling a little bit here. They're going to be able to get some souls. Mirai also getting hit.
I think both teams like just trying to push here. They're probably quite tired. This is a 4th high stake game in a row, and that's a lot of micro for everyone to get hit by everything.
The biggest problem right now for the side of BlueWhites is the fact that Jones is clearing topside. He's moving up. Slice is actually invading, so he's not clearing down. Jones might find himself getting caught out. I think Jones spotted him out there. I think he saw him.
Cone.
He's got the smite. He's just seen him. So Slice jumps in. There's a lot of damage out from Jones. He is going to get fired back onto. No pressure coming in, but Veluxia, he's too low for this, really. This is going to be a hard one. Smite was used on Jones as well, so that blue is just going to go down to Slice. Coming in for the chase up, does get the twisted advance. Slice has got the kill. The flash forward, Veluxia finds the knock up, gets the chains, gets the suck in, and Veluxia finds the kill in response. Beautiful turnaround.
Just opportunistic enough, despite falling down. Typical will proxy him off the wave here. No way back. Oh, okay, that's a bit weird. That's not usual. Maybe fearing a teleport up from Pomo, but should have been fine. Okay, never mind. The extension through. Rich Gang, still feeling confident. That is a gold lead for their core 3 members in each of their lanes now. So can't be too unhappy there.
Yeah, I mean, it's 200 gold lead, so don't get too ahead of yourself.
Oh, it is also, so more importantly than, the 3 members which will carry them through this now being leading, if not realized, they have broken the timing that BlueWhites won all their games on. Jones shows up at the right time, has a smooth, clear path through the jungle, early as possible to an objective, early as possible to realize an advantage ahead of it. That will not happen now. If you keep... Pomo thinks about it, but is currently tanking that minion plus Kurosh's attention. It is going to make it much harder for this Maokai to play through.
That just saved the chickens, by the way. That play was a little bit silly from Pomo. Actually saved the chickens because Slice and
yeah, they were looking for it.
were just moving over for the steal.
MKR coming up to support as well. They did realize that there would be more contest. I'm not sure they know how close they were.
That slows Kurosh down massively. He had no mana, so he's just going to have to sit in auto while Pomo gets the teleport, gets the reset, can walk over. So that teleport disadvantage is actually offset from that rotation from MKR. So actually really nice from him to be able to pick that one up. And remember, MKR, he is fasting, so it's not like he's giving up too much CS from all of this either. Just going to grab himself a couple of souls.
Had a few souls spawn on mid. Bit of a shame about the dragon, but we'll be here in time for this bot wave as well. So economy is probably just about even once those minions go down. However, first dragon over to Rich Gang. We're going to prevent BlueWhites, who have picked up first dragons all 3 games this series so far, being able to get a 4-peat in. A little change of pace, and it is that has got me worried here, Brain. We're going into a different game than the 3 we've seen so far already, just because of the way that BlueWhites' on-rails guaranteed way to beat Rich Gang has largely been abandoned or they've been pushed off of it.
I wouldn't get too worried. The grubs are up, and that's going to be a big thing for me. See how this gets acted onto.
First
Pomo.
fight for it.
Pomo really, really weak versus Kurosh's. Kurosh's got that 6. Jones is just going to get hit by the shot blast, and I mean, you're stepping up with no mid lane or top lane prio. That's kind of on you, Jones. Like, you should have just waited.
Yeah, he's
Unless he's gone
completely
fated.
Completely out. Either confident that they're not there, or that, you know, that the way this series has gone so far, someone gets grubs for free.
I mean, he went fated ashes as well, so he's very squishy. I think that was a real mistake by Jones to go that build.
I'm not sure.
I mean, you're getting Leandri second.
Yeah. It was first in game 1. I think it's probably.
It was
gonna
first
be
in game 1.
well.
It was second in game 2.
Yeah.
But I think that slows down any ability to fight. Because you're way squishier this way.
Yeah, I think he's got to clear the jungle, though. I think Locket components, you kind of got away with it in game 2 because they also had quite a big lead that was, like,
true,
accelerating.
Yeah.
And I think they are not going to have that this time around. I think going down in camps to the Jinzhou is absolutely awful, whereas against the Vi, it was like, oh no, what a shame. With that in mind, you know, maybe they assume Slice stayed for Grant because he did have a bit more time to clear on the bottom lane. Slice intelligently dropping camps makes me a bit worried. I think this next dragon fight, will be a little more telling. But Rich Gang are on curve so far for their composition, which is something I've seen from them in the past, that they're more sort of able to play through once their opponent has been disrupted.
Oh, there's a lot of damage onto Kurosh. No shockwave available to him. Well, mate, she just go for another little trade if he can find it. Don't think he's going to get that opportunity. Bot lane, it's pretty quiet. I don't really expect to see much here in a fasting center lane. It's not really a kill lane.
Level 1 was such a shock. This is way more what we were scheduled to have. Just everyone look at each other, think about how efficient we are while we pick up a little bit of gold.
42 stacks on Senna. I never know like good checkpoints for Senna stacks and kind of when she should be hitting them. It's kind of different.
That's all right for not having sat stable in lane. Everyone has shown up to the bottom lane. Looking eagerly.
Here, just clearing out a large wave that crashed into him. Typical will get some damage off, but it'll be a pretty hard one for him to really take any more. Typical doing very well in this lane, but as it gets later, it does get harder for the Renekton.
Yeah, for sure. He also, unfortunately, had that kill turned over at maybe the worst time. The CS difference has started to equalize since, but, you know, had at least 15 CS, level 3, level 4, up over the Aatrox, and it was just so rough, and gets donated 400 gold from Slice going deep at that time. It's kept the Maokai down, but it has nullified Typical's 1v1 advantage. You might have been able to kill Veluxia there if there was an AD on the back, or if there was less threat or worse position.
So Velux is going to be A-okay. Pomo was making his way over just in case. I think the big thing is as well, Pomo hasn't like sprinted the lane this time. Like, Karash got so accelerated on that Orianna because the amount of like just really terrible plays from Pomo. So it's definitely going to do them some favor. And I mean, BlueWhites, the later this game goes, kind of the better for them. I know Orianna and Kai'Sa do scale really hard, but into an infinite scaling center, into the fact your top lane will just outscale. Once the Maokai finishes up his AP item, actually starts to get tanky, then suddenly it's going to be harder to kind of find the kills on that. So very much one of those games where it's going to get nice and strong. And another time where actually Chemtech Dragon, not too bad. Senna healing, the shielding coming in, like even the sustain from Veluxia, like giving him more healing.
When you've got stuff like the Senna, and it also goes a little for Kai'Sa as well with either the shield or Pomo, knowing but not knowing exactly where Kansuke was there. And being able to live in the bottom of your health bar or clutch 1v1 sort of coming to fruition, as Kai'Sa so often does in side lanes. Having that Chemtech Soul really does like 10% extra in.
It's not Soul, by the way. It's just Dragon number 2. It's only. I'm talking like just an extra 5%, but it's fine. Like it's a nice 5%.
You've cast plenty with Orcs here, Brand. I don't know if you've seen his shenanigans in LCK playoffs, but the guy is currently like big fan of the Chemtech Soul. Talks about it all the time.
That is so funny.
That is so him. And I had to put up on that.
I had to put up with him whinging about that dragon forever. Yones is getting just full all in again. He goes AP. This is the price of going full AP versus the Xin Zhao.
I think even at this stage, just off the back of the invade, I said, like, vegetarian junglers are great. No matter which one you've got, if you are sort of off kilter like this, and you are caught in that no man's land position, it is just so tough to have your team come around you. Even with MKR there, he's just so far behind at this stage.
I actually think if he had gone tanky, he might have survived for a potential turnaround, but right? Hit by the shot blast. Pomo going to chase in onto him. Has a lot of damage. There's the barrier out. Gets the knockback. There's the ult away. Pomo should just be able to pick this kill up. And this time, he is able to secure himself a kill. Lovely little pickup there for Pomo.
Yeah, nice arrival. Just in time to the bottom lane. And it's a decent cross map. They lose the grubs.
Veluxia survive. He's going to force Typical's ultimate out. Has his own ultimate World Ender available to him. See how he uses it. Flashes away from the knock-up and Slice kills him.
I thought he was almost away, I had faith. Not quite. Not quite. Flash goes through as well. So Typical standing tall in this 1 versus 1.
You're not losing this fight.
Yeah.
6 grubs. That tower is going to melt.
Gets in the plates as well. Cross map secured though. Second time in a row BlueWhites have secured something reasonable on the other side. They are currently doing the Chemtech Dragon. So 1 and 1 apiece, and the further delay of the fight over Soul. And with that in mind, BlueWhites probably pretty happy.
Yeah, they are able to get themselves a couple of plates on the bottom side of the map as well. A little bit more gold injected into Pomo this time around. Not as weak, but again, it really comes down to Yones just being very easy to take out.
Yeah, he's a bit stuck.
Super squishy.
I would also critique the blue runes. The phase rush for the Maokai.
Kill him, Mirai.
Oh, he knows. He knows. He's got to respect.
Yeah, he knew something was up.
That was not a safe brush to stand by.
MKR needs to be a little careful. Kansuke and Typical are in the area, but gonna be sitting pretty. I think the big difference this time around is like the gold lead is not that substantial yet.
Yeah, we're fairly close short on last game from Rich Gang. They're not quite earning interest.
Pomo goes for the flash, does get caught by the grand entrance. They have to sustain. The shields are coming in. Pomo, though, still pinned in place. He does do a whole heap of damage. Kansuke losing a lot. Yones had the ultimate, decided to hold it. It's just going to be that as he gets, actually, it's just 1v1ing Mirai. Oh my word, supports. I know he's farming, but wow.
Yeah, it's still the half farming though. Like, looking at his items, I would not feel threatened. I guess. Guys, he's holding all.
I mean, Slice is just too fed. I don't think he's going to live this one. He does go for the turnaround. Mirai forced to ulti away.
There was a moment I really thought he had that. I was like, yeah, he's holding on. Like, you can maybe get Kai'Sa here. Doesn't even flash away. Mirai really close to going down there. It's a bit of tension. It's just a bit of a gold donation on mid. Not a big swing either way. Everyone has to recall. Herald is up. Side waves to be contested.
Yeah, I do have concerns this game. I just think time and time again, they're letting the Xin Zhao just get very fed. And Yones, it's like Yones' reaction speed has just been turned down after game 2. Like, they are so slow to do anything. I think they're so obsessed with the fact that they're losing farm, but they're more interested in making the farm up than actually going for the play. Like, had Yones been in place, right, this time, pull the trigger immediately. Oh, there's the ult. But again, it's too slow. Like, he just jumps in after Veluxia takes all of the burst. Like, he's way too slow to the punch. This time there is going to be a turnaround. They get the shutdown, and that's a big one to Pomo. Knockup comes in onto 1. In comes MKR, though, with the healing. No ultimate available. They find a potential for a lockdown. He gets losing a fair amount of HP, though, and they move away. Yones, man, getting concerned about you, bro. Like, you are.
It's
Press
so
Y,
hard.
unlock the screen.
Unlock the screen. It's valid. He's not on tempo here. Mirai caught out.
They're losing a lot of HP, forced to use the barrier. They are going to look for the turnaround. The two-man knockup comes in. MKR flashes away. Can he get the escape? I don't think he can. Mirai dodge the Q. MKR is able to get the kill. He's making a run for it. No barrier, no flash. Typical turns back around and gets the kill in response.
Lots of little wins on the side as well. Rich Gang, they were looking for that extension. Kurosh was fast on the teleport. They were pinging it onto the blue buff and this quadrant of the jungle. Rift Herald in their pocket now. They don't have to move fast towards it. It is on BlueWhites to move through their vision. An extra advantage, shall we say, is Pomo.
Yeah, he's going to knock Slice back. Has got the move speed from the phase rush, but man, I mean, Jones is farming again. Oh!
He's got it. He's so far down. He's actually going to stop Pomo's recall, though. That's really unfortunate. And yeah, Rich Gang, once again, advantage off the fight. It's not clean, but that is the way they have done business this split. Keeping themselves even, and it might be a late night. It might be a late night for everyone. We might be going 2-5 off the back of this. There we go. I've said it. If there is a caster curse to happen, it's coming.
I feel like the curse is Jones, man. Like, he has
It is
just
a
been so
disadvantage to
weak.
Maokai. Did you watch LEC, not this split, but the split before?
Yeah, obviously. I watched a bit.
Jones feels like Bo right now. The guy is stuck. He's not able to keep tempo on a tank jungler, and he's limited in his output.
Yeah, and that is just going to be him getting caught again. Squishy shields come in, lots of damage. Jones goes down, no surprises there. Pomo tries to find a turnaround. Is able to do a lot of damage, but again, they are in danger. Knockup lands in. Egit's hook was just... I mean, to be fair, he's playing Nautilus, so normally that would connect.
The lollipop not big enough today. Kansuke with an extra flash pushes forwards, secures Rich Gang an extra 3 takedowns in the reversal of the dive. The bot lane tower is also going over to Kurosh right now. If that falls, that is a massive bounty for taking that down solo. Rich Gang will be looking at an 8,000 gold lead minus some change. It's a real struggle, a real contrast to the first 2 games here. BlueWhites knocked off kilter. They've not yet regained their momentum, need to regain their footing. It's looking so difficult right now.
We are 17 minutes in, and Jones has not finished a single tanky item. Plated steel caps do not count, by the way.
It's not a real item.
This is such... I just think the Leandries and their farm obsession has honestly cost them all of the pressure in the early game.
I think it's fine if you got Aftershock over the top. I think it's like Skarner. Yeah. You gotta have the rune that suits best. And if you are on this team, gonna be diving forwards. Egets has got his Aftershock on cover. Jones will be part of the 2v2 unit. He's probably gone again. Maybe phase rushes out.
He's able to slow them. That was lucky.
If Kansuke had flash there, he was dead to rights. But Kansuke's already spent that, so it's fine.
Oh my word. The good news is Pomo is actually still relatively online in this game. He's this time been able to match somewhat to Kurosh and not died 7 times.
Yeah, I like the opportunity.
Finished up. Yeah, that's pretty big.
It's much better than the Amu's first after its changes on, was it 14.14? Much better as a first item.
No,
contest not completed in time.
Egets I mean, actually, I don't think Typical can actually deal with Egits. He's got way too many stats.
He's got a Thornmail and a Balmy Cinders, so if they stand next to each other and do nothing, Egits will win.
If Typical had a Cleaver, I think he'd win that fight 1v1.
Yeah.
But right now, I don't think he loses, but I don't think he wins. I think it's just a very neutral exchange.
It's quintessential top lane. It's beautiful. It's an art form.
They
Ouch.
genuinely keep missing where the ball is. They did that a lot last game.
Kurosh doing a great job of just slipping that under the front line of BlueWhites. He gets just shoring up the side lane. Wouldn't mind seeing Typical move off now with that stride breaker he has to the target access and the stickiness to stay on someone. Pomo goes down.
Yeah, they do get the kill onto Pomo. Now we're seeing a potential little engage on to Slice. Slice forced to ultimate. Not going to get caught by the slow thanks to the Crescent Guard, as we do see Egits look for a hook angle. Veluxia is in the area. This could be their opportunity to find it. Hook lands onto the Crocodile. Veluxia comes in, gets the chains down. Lots of burst coming through, and that should just be enough to find the kill onto him. Slice now jumping into the fight. Mirai chasing forward, finding an opportunity to get the kill. They trade it out, though. They find the lockdown onto Kansky. I don't think he's tanking tower, though, so it's a pretty even trade if you ignore Pomo. But Pomo, no flank angle, so not going to come in for a long-range teleport.
Yeah, it would be a massive overextension as well without the ability to capitalize on your own Barons. It would be the desperation play. Happy to see BlueWhites holding their nerve, as you know we have seen desperate plays in earlier games. Interested in just quickly checking, is that 93 souls on Senna? So we have just gone over a break point, probably just towards the end of that fight or just after. So she's a little stronger now. We're getting the crit and the life steal starting to come through in quantity, even after the changes.
Yeah, I'm going to be picking up a Vandal Glass Mirror.
Yeah, that's going to be another Moonstone. So it is like the half Enchanter build. I'm not sure BlueWhites have the damage output to get through this game unless Veluxia goes completely crazy.
If that previous fight had Pomo there, they actually would have had the damage in that fight. But Pomo, very easy to isolate, wants to be catching their own farm. So they're kind of stuck playing side lanes. Slice is down here on the bottom side. Pomo now spotted out, and MKR. Potential for a gank angle, as Typical is just going to make his way over and clear that vision out.
I think Typical and Slice have such an easy time trying to find Pomo in the sides as well. The Xin Zhao's chase is immaculate, and Typical with the stride breaker on top. He doesn't even have to reach the Jace. He just has to get kind of close. And from there, the run forwards will be enough.
Good news is it's very hard to be bush ganked. MKR, you knew where they were. He has to jump away. They throw everything onto him. There's going to be the Twisted Advance. Slice losing a fair amount of HP. Veluxia looking for an opportunity. Shockwave goes wide. In comes Pomo onto the flank. They find the kill onto MKR, though. Egits is trying his best to tank this one up. Typical pops the ultimate. Blast goes forward. Slice chases in. And that was MKR throwing the game. Easy mess up by him. Able to get one kill back for Veluxia. I think this is probably just going to be a tower and Baron angle for the side of Rich Gaming, but why did MKR walk up?
Yeah, it was desperate. They saw the ward cleared. I think this might be game. We will have another round of grubs to spawn, and with the 6-0, Rich Gang plow through the Nexus towers.
Yeah, they're able to do it. MKR comes in, tries to put some damage onto Slice, but the Nexus is bare. We're going to game 5, and they will taking another kill onto MKR. I am speechless at BlueWhites right now.
It's tough. It's real
I won't
tough.
Speak.
It's clear they had a fantastic
I'll get
plan.
in trouble.
They had
I'll
a
get in trouble
fantastic
if I
plan.
speak.
Games 1 and 2, mwah, chef's kiss. Absolutely fantastic. It looks like Rich Gang used those 2 games, maybe not the most effectively, but they found the break point. They found the way to escape BlueWhites' very calculated game plan. I don't think BlueWhites had a plan B. It's looking like plan B is real rough right now.
I don't know. MKR really lost the game. Like, straight up. I don't know. They saw where...
That was close.
The Xin Zhao was. That wasn't close. He literally walked into Xin Zhao.
Till he walked into the Xin Zhao. There was like, there's a mid-game, there's vision trading, and MKR, Shockwave goes wide, and BlueWhites have eaten Rich Gang's fist.
If they're missing Shockwave and winning fights that hard,
yeah,
it's still pretty convincingly win. It's mad. Again, few issues. I'm glad Jones went back onto the Maokai. I am so annoyed that he went Leandres first. Like, he was so fixated on the farm difference, but it basically cost him any ability to not just get one-shot by Slice.
Yeah.
Pomo needs to stop playing Jace. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
This Jace pick is genuinely trash. I don't know why he's picking
the Maokai
it.
doesn't suffer so much if the Jace is gone and the top lane is winning.
Yeah,
I think
imagine if that was
we
Maokai
weren't in
Yone
that
again.
phase. Yeah,
It kind of just goes down to Maokai Yone. Like, Maokai Yone absolutely slams that 2v2, but like Jace Maokai gets absolutely ruined. And like half the time it wasn't even a 2v2, it was Slice versus both of them. Like,
yes.
It is
enough.
questions.
The Xin Zhao fixes these like stable mids that we've come so used to, and it just breaks things open by being able to act on its own and the faster 2v2. Maybe a Xin Zhao ban rotated in. I think maybe the Lilia will have to be dropped from BlueWhites, and then we might see a huge team fight setup, and we might finally get to see the AD mid laner you want so badly out of Kurosh.
It felt like BlueWhites had a answer in the first 2 games, and Rich Gang have figured out how to stop that, and it looks like the one-trick pony that BlueWhites had is starting to fall apart. We're going to throw ourselves to a break, and we're back with the final game of this series, so we'll see you in a moment. Hello everybody and welcome back to the NLC promotion games. I thought we would have been done by now, but here we are into game number 5. Rich Gang have really done a fantastic job of turning it around, and I mean BlueWhites have done a fantastic job of handing it to them. These last 2 drafts have been not great. So yeah, I'm excited to see what this next game's going to bring, this final game is going to bring, because I think BlueWhites just need to return to what they were playing at the beginning of the day. Please, for the love of God, no more Jace. Definitely no more Vi. They learned their lesson on that one, but no more Jace. Pomo is not piloting this champion competently enough, I think, to be able to really pull a victory out of the hat. And also, why play Fasting Senna? They changed it. I think for the side of Rich Gang, though, they just need to stick to what they've been doing. Like, this Zin's out for Slice.
Break. Yeah,
I think Slice has been the win or lose of this entire series. Like, the first 2 games he lost.
If he loses the first 2 in draft,
I genuinely, for that Kha'Zix, no. I do think MVP is a very hard one. Maybe Katsuki for MVP. I think he's actually been relatively consistent across all of the games. Yeah. Anyway, we'll put that little thought at the back of our heads, because that's actually not relevant right now. But yeah, I think Slice has been genuinely the most important player for every game so far in this series, whether that be the wins or the losses. First 2 games, he had so much impact to the side of BlueWhites, but finally in the last 2, he's had a lot of impact for his team. This Zin's out. I'm curious to see if it gets through. Is Jones capable of playing it as a denial pick, potentially? We saw them try it with the Vi in game 3, not that it really worked. And I think the limited champ pool is the real issue right now for the teams. I think a lot of them have relatively limited champ pools, so
keep stalling, Hitman. Keep stalling. He has not played Xin Zhao for a very, very long time.
In a professional match, yes.
No
I'm
games.
Curious if he still plays it.
No games.
Ooh,
in the last 50. I thought the Lilia ban might be dropped. I thought it was the most likely to be dropped for the Xin Zhao. Instead, it is now moved up as first. You thought the Gwen might go.
I know you're very opinionated on this Gwen for Slice, but I do feel like a jungler half their salt should be able to handle it. It's very much on the lanes. It's very much on the lanes.
We saw 2 awful drafted side lanes. The Orianna respect ban. Holy moly. BlueWhites have abandoned the strategy.
They literally had 2 games of going, nada Ori, bro. I can outlane him on his Ori with Jace. He finally dropped that ego. Yeah, so Gwen's got through. I think this is probably just going to be Maokai once again for Jones. It better be. I feel like
Varus is banned. Could be Fortune. I wouldn't mind an Asher of Fortune. Okay, Ziggs flexed. Fine. It's acceptable. I mean, it's better than the bot lane last game. Please, no more Senna plus tank. It is not modern. And with 2 losing side lanes, I think Gwen would maybe get to 100 CS before the mid laners, which would be kind of crazy.
See what they're going to go for here. I feel like they just lock in Xin. Like, the Gwen I know is a really solid pick for Slice, but I feel that Xin has way more impact.
Ooh, okay, not sure about this. Ezreal, as you mentioned, nerfed, does allow you to play up with stuff like the Rakan, so that could be the lock on 3. Xin Zhao, Slice, you got to be in the zone now. I think there is no avoiding this lock-in.
Alrighty, well, what is the answer going to be here for the side of Jones? I know we have this Maokai as a pick. If you do go Maokai, don't rush Leandries versus the Xin Zhao. For the love of Christ. I would not like to see him try and match it. I think, honestly, just play something safe on that front. It's probably the best bet. He had a pretty good Leona game last time. And yes, Pomo. Yes, Pomo. You just finally...
2 games against Orianna. Where was this?
This guy
could have just been put in.
If he played this, they might have won. Then we might be home right now.
It's Monday night and we're reaching real deep into what is going on in this draft sort of phase. Okay, maybe MKR is going to end up with the Tristan, and that would make sense, and that would be why this is like technically a flex, but already
double
set.
Flex. Yeah, you are correct actually.
The Leona coming through does make me still think it's Ziggs bot. Fine, sure, that lane is excellent. It really does put the screws to Rakan, because he cannot leave the lane safely. There's not going to be a lot of time. And when he does, Leona is going to spike a lot stronger and be a bit firmer with the way she locks down people she roams on. Ornn ban on 4 is the same. can't be quite the same with mid bans here though.
I really like this Ziggs for one reason in this game now. Not when they locked it. I think blind it was a bit crazy, but versus the Ezreal has no wave clear. When they played versus the Varus, Mirai basically just never let them get to that tower. They never were able to really do what Ziggs does, which is take towers quick, move on to the next lane, and just accelerate your gold lead via tower plating. Now that you're playing versus the Ezreal, doesn't have that wave clear. Kanski's probably going to be looking to roam a fair amount. So I actually think they have the potential to really explode the gold lead here on this Ziggs lane. Now, final ban's coming through. The Malphite there. There's the Ahri. A lot of respect coming in. I think Pombo's finally realised he is actually fairly well matched here and not just completely gapping. I think the first 2 games got in his head a bit. See what the answer is going to be. I feel like this is just a Gnar for typical. Is probably the safe blind pick here.
I think he was a better ban than the Ahri. We haven't even seen Kurash's Ahri yet. A little bit of respect thrown his way.
I don't want to see that.
He's excellent at Akali. This may be flexible, but I don't really rate typicals Akali.
So
I've not
here's my issue with this. My issue with this comes off the back that you now have given up mid lane pressure. You've given up bot lane pressure. The reason Slice has shined so well in the last couple of games is because he's had pressure to then go in for those rotates and catch out Yones. This time around, now with this Gnar lock-in, they could potentially have 3 winning lanes, which means we might see the Slice we saw in game 1 and 2, where he goes for a greedy invade and gets collapsed on by all of the lanes with the pressure. I think BlueWhites have actually drafted really nicely here. Yeah, they have locked it in. Looking now towards their jungler, I feel like Maokai's still solid. Obviously, you don't have the 1v1 power, but this time you have the lane pressure for the Maokai to shine. Yones is actually cool. Right, so
it syncs up more nicely with the Leona than it would without it. But yes, I think BlueWhites reaching a little deep, maybe a little scarred from last game with the Maokai, but would have preferred to see that be locked in here.
I've got a sneaking suspicion, Rich Gang.
Okay,
gotta lock in the Jax.
Typical and Kurash feeling it this game. They're a little spicier.
This has a slightly better matchup into the Gnar as well, actually. So there's now a potential bit of a coin flip lane, and I think Slice and Yones are probably going to want to try and get one of those guys snowballing as soon as possible. It's a curveball. I don't say I dislike it. I do worry about